Hello. Hi. Hello, how are you guys? Super comfy, super comfy. Yes, I agree, I agree. Hello, how are you guys doing? Sarah, I'm not sure if you're still here, but thank you for resubscribing. Welcome back to the fold and farewell. Good luck with your work. Very comfy indeed. I actually yes, I actually do agree. These are very, very comfy. Immediate thought was the Kermit meme. How are you guys doing today? Happy Tuesday! It's Tuesday, right? Happy Tuesday! I'm pretty sure it's Tuesday. Okay, there we go. The Kermit meme. I'm not actually, man, the only Kermit meme that I'm familiar with is the Kermit meme with like the tea and he drinks the tea. And that just goes to show how like old and far behind I am at this point with like memes. I don't know. I don't know anymore. I will let Gen Z have the limelight with the memes. Just chilling on a day off. Ooh, hell yeah, hell yeah. Fully agree. Have an absolutely great time day off. Stormy out, so a comfortable stream is nice. That's kind of where I'm at. Like I've got this, and I've got so about this. Let me explain about this like giant. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this giant. Like it's so. Look at this. Okay, let me explain about this like wild thing that I have on. So a company called the Udi reached out to me. And they wanted to send me this as like a free sample to see if I liked it, and also have provided a code for you guys. So if you want to look into these kinds of things yourself, !UDI, like hoodie without the H. That's how you do it. Mostly, like to be honest with you, to be completely honest with you guys, I was like, absolutely, I will do this just because I wanted one of these things. Like this, you guys know how much I struggle with like being cold, right? Like you guys know how like my body doesn't regulate temperature. I'm cold all the time, and I saw this and I was like, I can live in that in the winter. So that's what I've done. So now I've gotten this. If you want your own, you can check it out. Otherwise you can just like enjoy me living in this like igloo that is my jacket. That's the whole thing. Can you send? Yeah, go ahead and send the link. Yeah, send the link. I think you can do that in the chat and it should be totally fine. Should be totally fine. You don't even know half the people. I don't even know like who counts as famous anymore because there's all these people who are like famous on TikTok, I don't even know who famous YouTubers are anymore. Like I just don't know anyone. I don't even know who's famous on Twitch, girl. I'm so out of the loop. You would love to be cold all the time. You're always hot. That is fair. That is fair. Oh yeah, okay, I see it now. It does look very similar. I feel like that I could be like the Sith in this. It's a very fluffy thing. You know, 0 famous Twitch users. I don't know. I feel like it's not a character defect that I don't know who is famous. It might even be a character asset, except that I know for a fact that I've like run into people who are some level of famous. And like I talk to them and they definitely expect me to know who they are, and I'm just like, girl, no. Girl, no, I don't. A hood that fits comfortably over the headset. The dream is real. I mean, I will say, if you have any friends who struggle with being cold or chronic illness, this is a great gift. If you look up on the website, it's fairly expensive, and when I was looking at it, I was like, whoa, I don't know if that, like, I was like, I don't know if I would purchase one because I didn't have one to, like, test and see how quality it was, but, like, it's actually soft, it's not itchy, which was my major concern. It's really warm. It's very warm. It's, like, exceptionally warm, and it's perfect for me, but, like, I wouldn't be able to get one for, like, Todd or Zek or anything because they would die inside of it. So definitely like A+ if you're cold. Maybe don't get it if you're hot. Hello Roni, how are you? I'm doing well today. I'm very excited. There have just been a lot of there's been a lot of progress on certain things behind the scenes, and so I'm pretty jazzed. I'm like done with my work today. It's a lot of good things. Yeah, it was a Final Fantasy IX song. Every time you end up in the stream of someone famous on Twitch, you end up reporting them. Well, that doesn't reflect well on the people that we choose to be the people that we choose to make famous, huh? But like, man, what's so weird about like people being famous on Twitch or on any social media is just like how much of a bubble it is. Because like the people who are famous, like are famous, right? Like they walk around on the street, people recognize them. Like it's a legit level of fame. But at the same time, the internet's made it so that you can have this level of fame where like millions of people know who you are and follow along with you. And yet like even more millions, hundreds of millions of people don't. And it's just like so interesting. Like how is one to, it's so interesting that that's a thing. I think it's hilarious. So happy there are more tags now on Twitch. I agree. I have heard though, and this is just as a heads up for any like fellow LGBT peoples, I have heard that people are trolling the tags looking for people with basically open discords to come into and like shred their discords. As you guys know, our Discord has always been one-time sub forever access situation, specifically because of this. And especially they look for people who are like on voice calls on their Discord. So if that's something that you're doing, just like heads up, if you need any help setting up like restrictions for your Discords, let me know. I have like a lot of resources I can supply, but I thought that would be a useful warning because people out there suck. You're here to cheer up because one song from Bo Burnham's Netflix special made you have a crisis about the internet. Yeah, I haven't seen Bo Burnham's Netflix special. I want to. Generally speaking, I'm a fan of Bo Burnham's work because he is honest in a lot of ways about like the like online experience. He's honest about it in ways that I feel like a lot of online creators aren't. So I'm curious to see what his most recent work is, but I also know it's probably gonna make me a little sad. Probably a little bit. You passed your certification! Hey! Congrats! All that studying was worth it! That's why you're definitely not gonna put those, put him in your bio instead. It's made probably a ton of people sad. Very creative. People are childish with certain labels, that's why you don't mess with Discord. I think that the problem here is the people who are going around doing this thing, absolutely, for sure. I will proudly identify how I identify, and anybody who comes after me for that, like, I don't know. I'm one of those people who's like I'm impervious to hate. I'm impervious to like hate because it's just like there is literally no reason for me to care about the opinion of people who are here to make my day bad because of who I am. Like those people who are doing that, I just like literally it all just bounces off of me because it's like why would I put a single ounce of energy or like legitimacy into these people? I think that a lot of people, like when you get like negative comments online, it's really easy to imagine that the people who are saying those comments to you are like the imaginary person that you create is someone who's like around your age, they're smart, they like have a job, like they're probably a decent member of society. Like that's where my mind goes anyways, is just automatically anybody who talks to me is probably like I give them all this credibility, and when it comes to people who are here to hate, I immediately remove all the credibility. I'm like, I don't know who you are. You could be like 70 years old, you could be unemployed for like 10 years, like you could just be, you're obviously not a great member of society if this is what you're doing. There's no point in like there's no point. People label you a weeb and you're proud of it. Hell yeah. Be proud of whatever you like. There's no reason to not be proud. I was like, man, and I'm still unlearning this myself. I've spent so much of my life like feeling ashamed for various things that I like because of like getting bullied at school or having shitty boyfriends who were mean. And like just enjoy the things you enjoy. As long as you aren't hurting anybody by enjoying them. That's fine. Already in the middle of a hiring Damn! Yeah, get that, Dosh! Get that, like, whatever promotion, you go. Oh, hey, Harvest! It's not very effective. The bow special hit you hard in a crazy existential kind of way. Absolutely, that is... All of his stuff hits existentially. I'm just very curious, because, like, I've been in the online space for I knew about Bo before I was in the online space, and then, like, he obviously kept creating as I was, like, coming into my own as a person who lives online in the game development space. And yeah, I'm very interested in what he has to say. The real struggle. Also, thank you, Allie. This is called an Udi. Exclamation point Udi if you're interested in one of your own. Makes a lot of sense, but what your brain does is to dissociate from labels. That's quite fair. It's cute and it's... Look at how big this... Can you even... I'm trying to, like, show how big the pouch is, but I'm not actually sure that you can even tell. There's, like, a huge... I can fit my entire iPad inside of this pouch. It's the best. I literally can, like, become my own couch. I can become my own couch and, like, walk around like a snowman. I like it. How does one spell that? You think you have to get one? Well, there's the hoodie without the H. They're a little bit expensive. I have a $30 off coupon, but I will say that, like, for as much fabric as in these things, that's fair. And you'll only ever need one. You only ever need one. I am couch. Your kids at work complain about that, and it baffles. Complain about... Oh. You've been told makes you boring? If you've been told that it makes you boring, then you're around the wrong kind of people. Let me tell you that, because there are a lot of people who would respect that you are that way. But it requires a certain level of maturity, though, I think. Like, when I was younger, I didn't know how to look for good people to date. Like, let's just say that. Like, it's not that I was dismissive of people who were good to date. It's just that, like, the people who were coming at me were not the people who were good to date. And also the people who were good to date were usually taken. So I think it takes, like, a little bit of, like, maturity to be able to, as you age, to, like, see the signs of, like, oh, this person, like, respects people. Not just me, but respects, like, all people, treats people well, is reliable. Like, those are things that, like, you know, we don't get told to look for. You don't see them in, like, rom-coms that often. You do if you get, like, my favorite character archetype, but you don't see them in rom-coms that often. And so it's just harder, I think. Like, you have to go through the effort of actually learning how to look for that unless somebody points it out to you. It's a... Hey, Smee! Oh, thanks! Well, be sure to go rest if you're tired, absolutely, if you need that. Hi, Chase! Girls like dangerous guys, that's...
Kupao? That's not a thing, Kupao. We can talk about the girls liking dangerous guys situation, Kupao, because I am frustrated, Kupao.
You want to write a song about the chaos of the internet and you... Oh, I got it. But end it more optimistically. Coop, you have to remember that, like... Okay, first of all, like, Bo Burnham, way older than you, has been doing this for a long time. So, like, has been doing this for a long time, is, like, a completely different demographic than you are, came on the internet at a different time than you did, like, experienced different things than you did. So you have to remember that, like, his experience, like, I'm sure his song is really good, but it's gonna be really good expressing his experience, and your experience is gonna be a very different one, and, like, a valuable one. And just as valid and worthy of hearing, regardless of how good his is, you know? A Zoomer with different ideas, exactly. Hey, little sushi roll! Thursday, you said Thursday was the anniversary, right? Oh my god, sorry. Absolutely. It is much better to wait. Relationships are just one of those areas where, especially when you're going into it for the first time and, like, you don't have that much experience, it's just harder to know, you know, it's harder to know how to protect yourself, what the warning signs are, what red flags are. Like, all of those kinds of things are a lot harder. And it's much better to go into a relationship with someone that, like, you like, that you're happy about, that you're excited to be in this relationship. You want to get to know more about them, and, like, a relationship that you're relatively sure is going to be safe and healthy. It's much better just to wait because, and at least in my opinion, not for everybody, but in my opinion, like, I didn't start dating until I was 18, until I was 18 years old. Like, I didn't do anything even remotely romantic with anybody until I was 18 years old. And I think that was fine. Because, like, watching my friends go through stuff, I was like, oh my, oh my. A part of human behavior that you never can understand. It's like science, there's parts of it you will never fully get. Oh yeah, I mean, there's just, people are gonna have their opinions, and they're entitled to opinions, but, like, opinions are definitely gonna change over time. They're absolutely gonna change over time. And so, I can say that, like, people treat other people, but, like, it's not just guys treating women badly. People can treat each other badly, and it's usually not, like, I don't think most people go out there and are like, mwahahaha, time to make this person's, my boyfriend / girlfriend / partner's day a horrible existence. But when you have, like, if you've gone through certain things in your own life, or if you have your own baggage, if you have an undiagnosed mental illness like, you know, narcissistic personality disorder or something like that, then obviously you're not going to go into a relationship prepared to be healthful. And so I think that there's just a lot of people who are acting out patterns that they've learned from their families, or who might have, like, untreated PTSD or just something like that, that makes it, like, can make having a healthy relationship really difficult, and can create really unfortunate and harmful dynamics within relationships that just aren't healthy. And, like, those people need help to find them, and sometimes they get help and sometimes they don't, but that's why it's better for you to just be like, back off and not mess with anybody who's showing any red flags. Internet to me different than the youngins, right? Isn't it? And, like, couldn't be me. Gen Z couldn't be me. Like, I can't imagine growing up, like, from day one. Like, I already basically grew up with the internet. I think I got, like, a Facebook account when I was, like, 13 or 14. I cannot imagine growing up now. When I was young, I wasn't able to get a phone until I think I was 16, and that already made me, like, enough of a social outcast that I can't imagine, like, what the landscape is like now, you know? I use card catalogs to find books. And yeah, and Fuzzborn, that's, like, I mean, people are absolutely entitled to their own taste. I think that it is a jump to a conclusion to say that the guys are trashy, because I see this a lot. I see, like, you know, especially when it's like, when you're at work, a lot of people complain about their relationships at work, and I think that, like, I see a lot of guys doing this anyways. I was friends with mostly guys growing up, and I see a lot of guys doing this, being like making assumptions about other men and assuming that they must be, like, edgy bad boys or trashy or bad in some way. It's like that whole, like, God, what was that? There was some, like, song by some teen boy, and, like, I forget even how it goes. I don't even know if he's famous anymore, but, like, the whole point of the song was that, like, I would be a better boyfriend than him. He's trash, and, like, I know how to treat a woman right and all that. It's not the kind of thing where you can look from the outside and know how someone's relationship is going. People who look like they have really healthy relationships can be trapped in abusive relationships, and people whose relationships don't look very healthy, it can be exactly what they want. Like, you don't know what they're in that relationship for. Maybe they're not looking for long term. Maybe Shawn Mendes. Yes, that's the one. I hated it when it came out. I was like, what are they doing? Shawn Mendes, shut up. Yeah, and even like boyfriends who seem like they might be bad boyfriends might actually be excellent boyfriends. Like, they might do something that, like, frustrates a girl in one way, but, like, they're always emotionally there for her at other times. So I think it's an oversimplification, and I think it's important especially in relationship situations, to try really hard to see nuance, because when we boil down relationships to like less nuanced versions, then that's when we set ourselves up to like miss indications in our own behavior and miss indications in other people's behavior for like when we're trying to evaluate them, you know. And relationships, it's so unfortunate, but that's one of the areas where like our world and our media really just loves to try and simplify, to make it like just to like so many like minimizing versions of like this person's bad, this person's good, this person's hot, this person's a loser, this person's like you know, so many just reductive explanations of relationships that like are completely unrealistic. Are absolutely unrealistic. You had your first date at 19? Solidarity. Nature will attract you to the right person without you trying to find them. Red flags and being mistreated are so heavily glamorized. Absolutely, they're so glamorized. You're right. And yeah, people are taught that that's desirable. Yeah, and it's hard to unlearn them. Speaking of about this conversation, I should mention I made the game To Be With You, which is a semi-autobiographical short. It's about an hour long. I'd call it a horror game because it's intense. It's about the abusive relationship that I got into when I was younger. And the whole point of it is to try and kind of help people experience what being in that relationship is like without having to literally live through one, so that like you can kind of understand and see the red flags. You can understand the thought processes that go into it, so that if you ever run into those in your life or in like a friend's life, you'd be better able to see them and avoid them. So yes, please pay attention to the trigger warnings, to the content warnings, because it does concern some very serious matters, but I would recommend it because that is what I made it to do. And I think it's decently successful at that. I would say so. Being through the relationships you had taught you a lot about many different things. There's always a good side to things, but it might have been better if you'd learned those lessons elsewhere before. Relatable. Yes, relatable. Hey, Elemental! Aw, thank you! Well, thank you for resubscribing. Welcome back to the fold, and bye-bye! Bye-bye! You were on antibiotics, you went for a walk around the city on a hot day. Oh! And then went home. Well, I hope that your date was cool about that. I feel like she should have been, or no. He should have been. They should have been. Whoever you dated! Got your first phone when you were a junior in high school, and it was a flip phone? Yeah, I had a flip phone too. I just like, my parents were just like, absolutely not, no phones for you. Don't trust boys. That was my whole family. I Can Treat You Better, yeah. When that song came out, I think I was like 16 or something when that song came out, and I was so mad at Shawn Mendes for like setting feminism back. That was like my feeling at 16 years old. I'm like, Shawn Mendes is out here teaching boys that I can treat you better is an appropriate response to your lady friend dating someone other than you. And I'm like, that's not appropriate. That's not appropriate. You never know how to treat... Oh, you never say to know how to treat someone better than another person? Certain nuances you don't understand. And then you have a pouty face. That's funny. I mean, there's definitely a lot of nuances to relationships and dating, and like, it's one of those things that like, being in a city, so like in Kansas, people like get into long-term relationships and they marry really young, but being in a city, people put that off until they're like 30, mid-30s, like people aren't about getting married and all that kind of thing. So like the dating dynamics between even just like my old Kansas town and here in Seattle is so different. And there's like different norms and different like things that you're supposed to do or know about, and it's just like a whole wild world. It's a wild world out there. Would I ever stream Super Seducer? I wouldn't. I actually once, I moonlit as a video editor, and so I got to experience a lot of Super Seducer already, and it made me very angry, and I shared my opinion. in those videos, and I do not want to give Super Seducer any more attention than it needs, because I feel like paying attention to stuff like that, even if I'm like smacking it down and kind of explaining why it's bad, I feel like there would be people who wouldn't know about it, who would find it through me, even if they're not actual members of the fold, and I do not want to give that guy. I mean, I will gladly talk about the tactics and why they're all bad just here, if anyone has any questions. And you proceeded to have what is a hilarious story. Thank you, Roni. Thank you for saying it's written well. And Smee. You're right. I would never directly say that my writing is good, because I am not a good, what's the word that I'm looking for? I am not good at evaluating myself at all. Like, that's one of those areas where I'm working on it. You know, when like, well, my mind is not quite so kind to myself, and it's one of those areas where, like, I think it's important to know when you have, like, negative thought spirals, to know that you're actually, like, less aligned with reality if you're deep in those negative thought spirals than you would be if you took, like, a completely neutral stance on yourself and being like, I'm not great or not bad also. So, like, my own writing skills is one of those areas where I'm like, I think I'm good, and, like, I just do my best and put it out there, and like don't worry about whether or not it's like good or bad, because I think it distracts me. Where can you play this To Be With You? Let me see if To Be With You. There you go. That's where you can get it. It's serious, so it's less funny. Which, by the way, To Be With You is gonna come out on Steam here very soon. Probably towards the end of the month at this point, but it's gonna come out on Steam. So if you're interested, you can, you know, also eventually you'll be able to get it there. But yeah, I think I'll like do the thing where you can get the Steam key through itch. There's like a thing. So if you get it on itch, you'll be able to get the Steam key for free later on. So no worries. The phones are not that young, though. There's kind of less you can do with your life since have a career. So, well, and there's also just more of an emphasis around, like, when you're in a smaller town, there's just more of an emphasis on social bonds and, like, marriage and, like, people around you are having babies. I think it's more of, like, an inertia. An inertia pulls you in. Fun and informing. I hope that you enjoy it, Jason. Oh, and also Scarlet Rosea. Thank you for subscribing as an Alacritous Alchemist. Welcome back to the fold. Hey. You haven't met a writer that wasn't overly critical of their work. I know not what you say. Small town dating is like a wreck. Part of the reason that I haven't exclusively dated white people, but part of the reason that most of the people I've dated have been white is because I grew up in Kansas and there were only white people. Like, there were mostly only white people around, so there you go. Whereas now, like, I guess I've been on a lot of dates in Seattle, but that's not the same thing as dating. It's not the same. But young enough to have grown up playing Minecraft. Yes. Can you wishlist now? Oh yeah, oh, can you? Have I launched the store page? Huh, I'm not, wait. You know what? Yeah, let me just look on Steam, because I bet if I look on Steam, that will answer the question. I don't think so. Like, can I just say, I'm just gonna put this out there. Trying to put something on Steam is extremely confusing. There's just a lot. There's so much more to it than I would have ever imagined. It's not available to wishlist. I will let you know. I will put out an at everyone when that gets through, because I'm still waiting on approval, I think. The card game I played the demo of coming out soon also? Potentially. Oh, you mean, oh, are you talking about Floppy Nights? Is Floppy Nights coming out soon? It's coming out sometime this year, so essentially soon. You tell him you're Irish. I mean, in America, that's the same thing. It's 94, but I look so cool. Right? Right? Again, if anybody's interested in this, exclamation point hoodie, like hoodie without the H. There you go. So when are you getting married is the experience. My family members didn't go, so when are you getting married? My parents were like, hey, Cara, you know that if you're gay, we'll love you very much. And I was like, I'm not gay at the time because I thought I wasn't. The feeling when everybody knows before you do. After many failed attempts, you will not date anyone from your hometown. I can't say that I disagree with that rule. Been on so many dates, but that's like swiping left only in person. Does that help young people understand? Dates are rough because you have to like get ready, go all the way out there, sit down, talk to them. And then if you mostly date men, which like when I was on the apps, when I was doing the apps, when I was like trying online dating, my God, when I was trying online dating, I again didn't know that I was, didn't realize I was pan. So I was only dating men. And the amount of like, I'm gonna go to this date to sit here and listen and see whether or not they allow me to speak during this date is like, wow, that's like, like the number of first dates that go poorly simply because the other person forgets to ask any questions. And it's usually, from what I understand, it's usually the man forgets to talk. Like, a lot of guys get it in their heads that they need to impress you on dates. And I think that combined with nervousness means that a lot of guys like to talk at you about things. Like they're very nervous, so they're talking a lot. And then they're also trying to impress you, so they're just talking about like their job, their work, like the fancy, God, I went on, man, I haven't talked about Gucci belt guy in a long time, but I went on a date with this guy that was just like hilariously, like every single thing that you think could go wrong kind of did. But he definitely really wanted to show me his fancy car and talk about his fancy designer clothing and talk about how rich he was. And back, my apologies as per usual about that. I haven't reinstalled my OS because there's certain files. You know when like, oh, it's fine, but you know when you're in the middle of like projects and you're like, I need to reinstall my operating system, but in order to do that, I need to like back up like a bunch of different stuff, make sure it's all secure somewhere, wipe my whole computer, reinstall every single app, redo all of the settings, put all of my work files back on, make sure everything's okay. Like, ugh. So yeah, haven't done that, but I need to. I do need to. Hello, glad to be back. Thank you guys for waiting patiently. Yeah, to be honest with you guys, I don't feel like I'm a person who knows that much about like dates either. I don't feel like an expert by any means. If anything, cause like also I'm Demi, so like going out there in the world and just like, it's just I don't enjoy that. It's kind of been nice just learning to be happy with being self-sufficient. Hell yeah, Exile. I super feel that. Absolutely. And yeah, dating is just, generally speaking, I think it's pretty hard. If going on enough dates makes you an expert, who is an expert? Who is an expert dater? Like, nobody doesn't have frustrations with the dating scene. Like, I don't know a single person who's like, boy, I sure feel great about like the dating scene and the whole world. And like, I don't even know anybody who's like in a committed relationship who's like, man, I miss being single. Like everybody I know in a committed relationship is like, don't let me back out there. So it's like, we're gonna upgrade it. Hey, Obi-Wan, how are you? But yeah, so it's, I don't even remember. Oh, I was talking about Gucci belt guy. Well, Twitch apparently didn't like me talking about Gucci Belt Guy, but suffice to say that I've actually like dated, this is gonna sound weird, but I've been on a lot of dates with people who tell me that they are rich and who may or may not actually have been rich. I did actually like end up dating one person who was like rich, like owned lots of property rich. And, they, like, rich people love talking about how rich they are. Like, rich people really love they love talking about their items and their possessions and the money they have and, like, flaunting it and, like, Why would anyone ever say I'm rich? Oh, it's absolutely new money, except for a couple of the people that I was on dates with, like, it was their parents were rich, but, like, they were, you know what I mean? And it's... Oh, you do wish you'd had the chance to date while out. That is fair. I think that's like separate from the desire of like wanting to be single again is the desire of like not realizing that you are, you know, not realizing that you want to date a group of people that you never got to date because now you're in a committed relationship with a different kind of person. I think that is like that is just like the relatable struggle right there. A dating sim disguised as an action RPG. Sorry, you're correct. Hey, Nathan! But you have technically arrived. Well, welcome in, technically speaking. We just had technical difficulties, so you are the same. All your small pre-relationship experience. Yeah. We're interested in you for super wrong reasons, girl. God damn. Speaking about men being interested in you for super wrong reasons, yeah, agreed. You're less enthusiastic about that now. That's Warren! Hey Warren, thank you for resubscribing. Welcome back to the fold. We're all having a session where we're talking about like online dating and that experience. She thought she was after her parents' money. Oh, wow, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Yeah, date people for that money. What? Okay. Well, the thing that I've learned from, like, going on dates with rich people is that, like, have I ever had a bad dating experience with a lady? I've never, like, gone out on dates with, like, I've never tried, like, online dating with women. I've never, like, yeah, I'm a baby. I have no experience in terms of, like, dating people I didn't already know is what I'm trying to say here. And didn't get to experience any of that either. Yeah. Yeah. And like, that's rough. I have a lot of friends who've gone through similar things. For me, it's not as much of a problem because once I get into I'm super demisexual. I'm also not like inherently. It's not like everybody who's demisexual is monogamous, but I just happen to be an extremely monogamous person. Like, I'm definitely like, I want my one person and then that's it. And I don't possess a lot of like curiosity. I can't say that I have dated like men, and I've dated like non-binary people, and I will say that there is a very big difference there. And like at this point, would I, like, if I needed to, would I want to date, like, would I go after men again specifically? I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this because I've never actually like really like talked about this before, so I'm trying to make sure that I'm not like being rude. But I would say probably not. So the dynamics are just very different in my experience. And it depends on the person, obviously. Of course, it absolutely depends on the person. But I think that, like, depending on how open the person you have is to other aspects of your identity, that's gonna play into a lot of how I skipped it. How satisfied you are in your relationship. So like most of my relationships were with like 100% heterosexual men who thought that I was super straight. And to be honest, a lot of the guys that I dated were interested in me for a lot of, not for me reasons, like not, less so because I'm a cool person and more so because I'm pretty and exotic in a certain way, like more so because they were like, and especially in my hometown, apparently, I was like a catch. I was like a, I was a thing that boys would fight over. I learned eventually, like, me, demisexual, oblivious as all hell, like, just, like, not paying attention to any of that, but apparently that was the dynamic, and so I was the trophy more so than I was a person, and, that dynamic existed with, every straight guy that I dated. Which is not to say that all straight guys are like that. It's just to say that the straight guys I dated all happened to be that way. Coincidentally, also people who, like, weren't... How do I say this? There's just a certain kind of person... I'm trying really hard to figure out how to say this without trying to be, like, too insulting. This is the thing. I'm just like... how do I say this? I will say that, like, growing up in Kansas, growing up in like a smaller town, growing up in a town where I was kind of the only brown person, growing up in a town where like sexism and racism were kind of baked into the everyday culture, so it wasn't something that I noticed until I left and went to Seattle and came to like a bigger town where people treat me fully human. I will say that, like, it was a lot harder for me to distinguish when I was and wasn't being, like, objectified and when I was and wasn't being treated like a person. It became really hard for me to distinguish that because there just weren't that many people who weren't, like, not secretly, but, like, who didn't have internalized racism and kind of treated me with some amount of disrespect on some level. Whether that's like assuming I wasn't intelligent or fetishizing me because I'm mixed and like that's a whole specific fetish for people, or fetishizing me because I'm black. There was a lot of stuff going on in the dating sphere about that, and so for a lot of people they built me up into this thing in their head, and it was hard for me to tell when that was happening as a youth. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm like, how do I explain this? I don't want somebody to dig this up and show it to an ex. It's not what I want. Yeah, I agree, Chip. It's no fun. Also, hang on. Scrolling back up, I missed something. I missed a lot of things. You don't think you could date a non-queer person? I will say that dating in the queer space is very good. I like it. There's just a lot less that you have to explain. I find that when I go for just like straight and especially white men, which again is like most of my dating experience, there's just so many things that I have to teach them. And that's exhausting. No one is disagreeing. I know no one's disagreeing, but... You think oh, okay. It's not your main attraction either. Yeah, other queer people will understand the queer experience. Yeah. Right? Yeah. If I were to date another man again, it would have to be someone who's just like a great ally in all of the ways because I don't have time anymore to explain. Do a big insult. Lay it down. Everyone's like, dunk on your exes. You're the kind of person that listened to the straight white male song and felt called out. Oh no. Queen of the nerds without knowing it. Yeah, I guess apparently. Yeah, that was a thing. Yeah, I think that was a thing. Yeah, a lot of the nerdy boys had crushes on me is what it ended up being. Dating for money to be taken care of? Oh. The person doesn't matter, the money does. Ooh, yike. I mean, I get, like, if it's a relationship where both parties fully agree that, like, that's what they're after and that's fine with them, then I don't have a problem with it, because, like, I'm not one to judge other people for doing it. Like, if you're doing something and it's consensual and you're not harming people, who the hell am I to tell you not to? But, like, in the cases where people are, like, manipulative and they're, like, trying to convince people that they love them when actually they're just after, like, material wealth, that's bad, obviously, and I don't like it. And, like, you can find the people who are down to have that relationship if that's what you want, who are down to do that. Bo Burnham. Yeah, I will warn you, Roni, some of his older stuff has aged poorly, but I cut all comedians slack, because, like, comedy is always about pushing boundaries, and it's always about, like, comedy just kind of ages poorly really fast, because in a lot of cases, like, jokes that at the time are, like, punching up, when like we progress into the future and we look back at it, it looks like punching down, just because of how much the times have changed. So Bo Burnham hasn't always been, like, great, so just keep that in mind. Learning all at an early age made it easier to accept. Hell yeah. A bi flag for your late my birthday? That's adorable! Aw. If you're well-rounded and aware of what you want to do with your life, then you'd be the guy to support your endeavors as long as you do the same for me and kind. Yeah, and that's, like, yeah, I agree. Not everybody has that desire for a relationship like that. Like, some people want to fully take care of someone else, and some people want to be fully taken care of, or, you know, some people want to be the stay-at-home parent, some people, you know, like, some people want to be the career-driven person. Some people are like, listen, I don't actually want to work, but I'd love to contribute in some other way to our household, you know? So it's all about, like, just making sure that you find someone that you align with and you match up on all of the important life things if you're looking for a long-term relationship. Important, like, you know, where do you want to live? What do you value? Do you want kids? All that kind of thing, right? If you don't oh, cheers, Mysterio. The manipulative nature is the problem. Yeah, I feel that. Chip, my family in Germany, because my German family, that, historically, my German family is very rich. The German side of my family is very rich, and so I've seen that happen with my cousins who are around my age, and, like, seeing them and the family as a whole kind of navigate that process is interesting. No, let me tell you, those never get old. You want a big, strong woman to sweep off your feet and tell you you're pretty? When you expect or ask people to be things they don't want to be, that problems arise, or when you try to stop somebody from changing. That's, like, something that happens in longer-term relationships. When someone wants to, like, branch out and change some aspect of the relationship, and somebody else tries to stop them, you can see that's, like, one of the ways that abusive dynamics can kind of come out where they weren't there before, is if, like, somebody doesn't want something to change and so tries to, like, demolish their partner's self-esteem, even if they're not intending for it to be that way. That can be a thing that ends up happening for sure. And not even from a sense of that thing I said was problematic, but you feel like you will hate any joke you have. Well, that's just part of being creatives, Mihan. Like, that's, like, absolutely a thing that, like, you look back at it and you're like, yike. No problem. Bye, Smee. Enjoy your lurk, little sushi roll. Yeah, speaking of, there was a whole actual game that we were gonna play, huh? I don't even know. It's been an hour already, my bad. Oop. Enjoy your lurk, Mysterio. Yeah, we didn't even start the game yet, my bad. We got distracted by talking about relationships, but that's fairly maybe I should just turn this into a fully 100% IRL stream at this point, considering how often we end up talking for so long. All right, let me pull up Equilinox. I don't think it's a problem. I enjoy, like, I'm here for the conversations. I'm also here for the games, but I enjoy the conversations a lot. Let's hope that the Windows update didn't do anything to break OBS, since I tested it before I streamed. There we go. Beautiful. This is a... Whoa. Is it gonna come back? This is a stream. I enjoy talking with you guys as well. Hang on. Let me do two things real quick. It had it up, but it might be doing the thing that it did last stream. I tried to take my I tried to take it back to the old days. Oh, and on top of that, it's sending the music to the wrong... It's not sending the music to the... to my headphones. Man, I hate this. I set everything up and then my computer restarted. That's not my fault. That's not my fault. Rude. It technically is my fault. Shh. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. Let's try this again. Launch and go. Sometimes people grow in different directions and seek different experiences. Yeah, absolutely. The streams are like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. Hey, Thundertaker! Huh. Whoa, why would a person... What was even the end game there, Chip? Like, what was even the... I don't even understand how they're... I don't understand. Did that fix it? I don't understand. You literally showed it. You were showing it before I hit the transition button, and now it's not showing the game anymore. And it's not playing the music in the appropriate channel. Is this because of the Windows update? I'm gonna be mad. I guess we'll never know actually where it's from. I can put this... I don't know how I'm gonna get you guys to hear the music. I might be able to share my desktop audio with you. Whoop. Yeah, okay. I think the desktop audio, you'll be able to hear the game at least. Now, why the hell won't the game capture? Oh, now it's... All right. I'm not complaining. Oh, that's why. Okay, yeah. Same bug as before. Got it. Well... Okay. Okay. So, the game that we're playing here is called Equilinox. I think I accidentally started it without meaning to. Can I? New world. New world. Normal. Simulation creative. Normal. World name. Fuldonia. Okay. That's what we're doing. Hey, Plastic Ape! Hi! Thanks! I hope you have a great day, too! The game was too powerful. God only knows. Okay, so I don't... It told me something down there. I don't actually know how to play this game, so let's learn. Okay, to begin a new ecosystem, start by planting some simple grass. Click on the grass in the plant shop. Place some seeds into the world. Bam. Alright. Oh, I spent all my money! I have like money up here. Oh. Rippery-doo-dah, rippery-day. Coop, I want a Mac computer so bad you have no idea. It's fine, but I want it. I can collect the reward. Claim reward. Unlocked the daisy species. A simple white flower. Sure, how do I grow the daisy? Oh, I can grow a daisy. Must be placed on dry land. Bam. Exactly 1 daisy is what I have money for because I spent way too much money on grass. So we'll see. I mean, I guess maybe fast forward. Oh, it only fast forwards if you hold it down. I think I wasted my money on the grass, guys. Lily! Hey, Lily, thanks for resubscribing. Welcome back to the fold. And thank you, Dawn, wherever you are, for the gift sub for Lily. Dorfromantik? Dorfromantik? It's just about making a pretty German villa. Oh my god. No, I haven't. Thank you so much for telling me. Dorfromantik. Okay, I've written it down. It's down. We got it. I mean, I guess I'll just... There we go. We got the flower power task. I have 3 fully grown daisies. Oh. Okay. I didn't think I had 3 fully grown daisies. I guess, you know what? I probably should have spread out the grass placement is probably what I should have done. So, my first tree. Oak trees. Most basic tree in Equilinox has no problem growing in most areas. All right. Let's get us a hardy tree. Bam. So yeah, the goal of this game is just to grow different ecosystems, explore, find different animals, find different plants. It's a really chill game. Still very good for talking, so we can still have many discussions while we're playing. But I've owned this game for actually ages. I think I got it in a bundle somewhere, and I've had it installed waiting for a day that we could play it on stream for like 2 years now, actually. Because that's the kind of person I am. I'm all about the long con. I don't know where the baby oak went. I think I planted the oak. Is this it? Grass tuft. Grass tuft. Oh, there it is. Grow! Can we name things? I don't know. Let's see. We can grow apple trees. Selective breed, growth rate. Habitat. Okay, okay. What are these other settings? Okay, see, we can put animals in here, and that's the part I'm looking forward to, is the adorable animals. Hell yeah, my first tree. Unlocks sheep. Unlocks 4 tasks. Sheepish, more grass, genetic modification, and completionist. Well, we already have enough grass because I literally spent all of our money on it. So no worries there, we're good. I would love a sheep. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do, little one? Brittany! We can name the sheep! Who wants to be named after the sheep? Hey, Fiddler! Happy nearly 2-year anniversary. Welcome back to the fold. Thank you for resubscribing. Our first oak tree professor. You want to be the sheep? Coop is the sheep. Oh, yeah. Coop got in there first. No Brittany, only Coop. Did that work? Yes. You're playing around. You have a mixed diet, whatever that means. All right, goodbye, Fiddler. Enjoy your dinner. Now it's dark. Ooh, stars. Oh, right. What did we unlock here? Stones. Stones. There, we got a stone. Who cares about stones? What are my tasks? Complete all tasks. Satisfied sheep, 1. I need 2 more sheep. I could use some wheat. Use your current wildlife to unlock new species. Select a graph tuft. Go to the evolution tab. Evolve the wheat species. Okay. Let's get something like over here. Ah, I need 3 stones. Okay. So that's what the stones are for. Does that count? Is that close enough? No? Yes. All right. Hey, thank you for the 100 biddies, Coop. Stones are nice, don't be mean. I mean, I guess we gotta wait for it to evolve. So we'll get some wheat. Can I evolve you? Oh, you're all evolving. Okay. I should probably have at least 2 sheep. I don't have enough money. When you select a plant in the world, you can see... What? What? Why'd it die? Why'd my wheat die? Why? What happened? Can I move? It costs money to move it? You gotta be kidding. Continue evolving, you fools. The stone killed it after I made fun of it. Okay, and then I was gonna get, right, blue daisies. Are you a daisy? How do I make you blue? Current traits in the traits tab. Oh, light blue. Too much money, 5 me. I wonder how else you get DP. The oak tree is fully grown. It's so tiny though. And here's Coop. Coop, are you fully grown yet? Whoopsies. Ah, I've evolved a wheat successfully. What is this? What's up with you? Oh, right. What is this? Oh, I picked up a seed? I think? Are you wheat now? No, you're grass tuft. Wait, does that mean that I have to plant wheat? I have to plant the wheat. I'll go plant the wheat. Here. There, that's good. Maybe it'll grow more wheat? Girl, I don't know what I'm doing. It's become California. Bah! Coop, I don't know what you want from me. You're not a satisfied sheep anymore. I mean, that's fair. You live on like a very tiny tuft of grass. Not much else going for you. Hey, Melia! Hey, hi, DFTBA. Thank you for resubscribing. Welcome back to the fold. Man, so many years ago at this point that was a thing. You really want to play Settlers of Catan? Catan is such a fun game. Catan? Catan? Right, how are we doing? I need 1 more wheat. Why did I put it over there? It's not going to grow well over there. Oh well. Oh my god, Coop! You spontaneously had a baby! Named Winston! Should we rename it or should it stay being Winston? Winston's an adorable name. Coop and Winston. I guess things must... Oh, yeah, and there's another tree. Okay, so I guess as long as you plant at least one thing, they will spontaneously grow more of them. Is this the wheat? Yeah, it's not doing too hot. That's fine. Not everybody needs to do hot. You're a mother. Congratulations. The things you learn. I like this optimistic music that's happening as we look at our 2. Oh man, I'm so excited to have a thriving land filled with... Can I speed? There we go. Thank you. Ooh, unlock seaweed and chicken! Okay, one thing at a time, guys. So many things you want me to do. Satisfied chicken. I don't even have satisfied sheep yet. You know? I can buy exactly what... Oh, chicken costs less than sheep. I'll put a chicken down. Oh no! Chickens and sheep don't get along. Never mind. I won't do that. I'll wait until we have a little bit more space, I think. Seaweed? I don't... Okay, hang on. Seaweed population. Is that... Do I put it here? What do I do with the seaweed? 100%. Seaweed is in there. Okay. And then I was gonna... I don't have enough money. This game. Oh! DP per minute. How do you get more DP per minute? Aha! Diversity points. You guys, diversity is our strength. Okay. And having healthy, happy animals gives you more DP. As you make progress, you'll gain access to more and more diverse species of plants and animals. Oh, this is such a nice game. I have to make it diverse and happy. I'm pro that. Diversity, happiness. It's what we stand for. How much do you cost again? 773? Give it some time. Oh my god, you had another baby, Coop! Look at you go. Alright. What? I already have 10 seaweed? How? Did you guys reproduce that fast? Holy shit! I put one of you down. I mean, I'm not going to be upset. Seaweed is A, delicious, B, good for the ocean. So I'm not here to get upset by any means. Unlocks the gone fishing. Oh, I can put trout in there? I could put trout in there. I don't think that, Is it, like, not deep enough? No? Oh. Well, I'll put one trout down. How do I make... I don't know how to make it more... Is it the seaweed? I'll wait. I'll wait until there's a little bit more time. Maybe it needs more seaweed. Who's our second sheep over here? We got Dandy! We have Winston and Dandy! Coop, your naming scheme is incredible. Your naming scheme is doing amazing things. Hey, Ginger! How you doing? All right. Well, I want to... Yo, listen up. Here's a story about a little guy that lives in the blue world. And all day and all night. How else can I expand the grass? Grass can become... Wild mint! I want to grow wild mint. Requirements not met. Requirements not met. Never mind. Okay. Change my mind. What happens if I put a disliked species nearby, though? Okay, what if I just do the trout? I'll do the trout. It's so unsuitable, though. Is there other water? Ah, here. Is this steeper? No, I think it's just about the seaweed. I'll put you down there, and don't worry, there's going to be more seaweed in no time, Mr. Trout. Where are you? Who wants to... Oh, you can't name the trout. I was going to name the trout, but you can't. Well, we got one. It'll be fine. And meanwhile, the sheep are completely satisfied. We have a lot of satisfied sheep. Longive! Longive, hello! Oh, Longive, congrats on your 2 years! Can we have some chariot dances in the chat for Longive's 2-year celebration? Thank you for resubscribing. Welcome back to the fold. Is that a goo emote? Does he give due credit? Huh? The reproduction of sheep. Oh, got it, got it. Thank you for giving the credit. Now we can have birch trees. Yeah, let's put one of these down. There you go. I think we'll need more grass. I think maybe I need, like, to put more grass, like, around, probably. Maybe it'll get, like, spread out a little bit faster. That was a worthwhile use of my money. Oh, I want these clouds. They're so fluffy. Thank y'all. Well, this is like looking so idyllic so far, honestly. So many trees growing. I'm very pro this game so far. It's only $10 too, which if you want it, it's on Steam. Go support the devs. The music's really nice. I can't wait until this place looks gorgeous. Let's speed. Look at that. Little patches of green everywhere now. That's what we wanted. Oh, I have more. I'm just gonna like, I'm gonna go for the grass, honestly. Because I feel like getting more grass, because then once we get more grass, I'll be able to put the chicken down. When I know that they don't need to be... Ooh, unlocks the Wander music track. What does that do? Ooh. Oh, it goes through... Oh my god, you can queue. Wait, there's a track called Sheep? This is the sheep track. Sorry. Y'all is an extremely underutilized word. It fills a lexical gap in the language, meaning that, like, in English, we don't have a word that means collective you, like plural you. And it's, when you look at other languages do. And the Southern dialect and a couple of other different dialects created a word for that, y'all, which unfortunately some people think marks people as unintelligent or improper, which I don't think I need to tell you guys. Trying to police how people use language is not great, especially if you're trying to police what is like professional language outside of like, you know, certain touchstones like don't curse, don't use like sexually suggestive language at work. Aside from that kind of thing, trying to police somebody's dialect and how they talk, bad news bears. So I use y'all all the time because it's just a great word. It's very correct. I want to normalize using y'all and not have it be seen as a thing that means people are somehow, you know, bad or somehow less because it's not the prescriptive grammar that you know, you're taught in school. I'm very fond of the word y'all. You all. You. The sheep you. Is it what? Is it seen as like unintelligent? I think it depends a little bit on where you go, but y'all is associated with two different kinds of dialects as far as I'm aware. And those are like the Southern dialect and African American vernacular English or dialect English, depending on how you learned it. And both of those are considered unprofessional. I wonder why. So they're considered they're accents that have stigmas attached to them, especially when you take them into wider dominated spaces like the workplace, or academically dominated workspaces, kind of thing. Oh, you is plural, absolutely. Y'all. You is plural on its own. It is plural on its own. It's just that it creates a lot of confusion, which is why a lot of languages have different word for the plural form. Yeah. You guys and you people can't stand up. Y'all's shorter. Y'all is shorter. To whom it may concern. That certainly does sound very British, so it must be the professional version. Y'all is the professional version of y'all. Damn it. It's amusing. I have these ways of behaving, right, that I've adopted for myself because they're what I want. Sorry, I was about to show you guys my shirt, but I shouldn't. Which are like, I have activism in certain ways in my own life personally that I do, and a lot of that is about like word choice and words that I'm trying to normalize, or like, I'm sure you guys have noticed at this point that I do not type grammatically correctly in the Discord or in chats and stuff. I don't do that even though I'm a writer and I know how to write grammatically correctly, and that's because I see writing as a form of self-expression, and especially in chatting forms, there's so many ways that chatting is allowing us to play with our language to achieve different effects and to cover lexical gaps, to communicate sarcasm, humor, this is the end of this thought train and I'm starting a new thought train. There's so many ways that, like, especially because I was growing up online as more and more people were starting to use the internet, so I got to watch people come on with grammatically correct language and like slowly shift, and people, you know, LOL to punctuate the end of a sentence. People like learning these things, like don't spam a bunch of exclamation points, don't yell in all caps. People learning these rules for how we're all going to talk to each other and chat on computers. Got to go, BRB, all of those words that were like coming out for the first time when we were young, you know? And I think about it a lot, and I'm radical in all these ways that like nobody notices. Only I notice when I get into the workplace and I'm like, here I am, bringing my radical usage of language, hoping that nobody assumes that I'm unintelligent because I say y'all. Joke's on them. I agree. I super agree, Gus back. My deepest love. Emotes. As per my last email, to whom it may concern, as per my last email, I suggest that you input this into your calendar. Coop! Your children live on. Do I even, is it because there's not enough grass? Like, did you just get too old? Do people naturally die in this? Who's Hannah? Who's this sheep named Hannah? How many sheep do we have? Hannah, Snickers, Nina, Finnegan. What happened to Winston? Is everybody dead? How'd you guys die? What? Okay, well, I guess everybody dies. Coop Jr. An oak tree has been born with an unusual mutation? You don't say. What is it? What is your mutation? Has no buffs. I see no mutation. Alright, well, yeah, paying attention to the game again. For a hot second. Control it. You can take control of animals and move them around? Take control. Okay. Take control. Oh my god! I'm Finnegan! It's me, I'm Finnegan! Well, that's cool. I bet I'll need that for some tasks, huh? Mushroom mastery? Button mushrooms, you don't say. Alright, let's get more grass. Yike. Alright. We're going for it. Oh, I'm sorry, Coop. I didn't mean to scare you. But it's true. I wasn't sure how to tell you that your sheep had passed. Mere sand grains. That's fair. It's only been 4 days. Yeah, I agree, Chase. Well, it's a whole thing that I argued with my professors about in college. So I took a linguistics course, and unfortunately I took it as a senior in college. Otherwise, I probably would have gone into linguistics. Oh. This is the mutation. You're purple. Sick. On the birch tree is growing. Satisfied chicken. I think that we have enough that I can put down a chicken. So I'm gonna save up money for a chicken. There you go, Coop. There we go, chicken. Who wants to be the chicken? Oh, it's just an egg! Dorothy the Fifth. You can, J Phoenix. Do you want J Phoenix or Phoenix? It's a very pointy egg. It's a very shiny diamond-like egg. J Phoenix the Fifth. Bam. When you come out of there, you're currently hatching. Woo! There you are! You're playing! Hell yeah. Alright, alright. Redfish population and kelp population. Have 4 trout, 4... Oh, we got 4 trouts? Since when? Girl, we got 4 trouts. Yeah, you guys aren't very healthy, huh? It's because of all the seaweed not doing too good. Too much seaweed in here? What if one of you becomes a kelp? Need large rocks? Need large rocks. And need to be big. Are you big enough? How do I know if you guys are big enough? How do I make your size trait bigger? Oh, I see. Well, let me put the big rocks down. Just kidding. I don't have large rocks yet. Do I? I need large rocks, specifically. I have stones, brown stones. Rock. Okay, so we have not... Maybe I should put this brown rock down. Or does this count as a large... Category, large rock. Okay, hang on. Do you count as a large rock? This just counts as a rock. But this one's a large rock. Oh, it's so expensive. Ugh. Why does developing your own ecosystem have to be so expensive? Cece, hey! Thank you for resubscribing. Welcome back to the fold for the 4th year. We can't name the fishes. No, they don't let us. I guess fishes aren't people. All right, goodbye, Roni. Thanks for coming. Who is taking our diversity points? Am I God? Phoenix, you died already. But you had a kid named Duffy. Oh, you're starving. Well, what do I feed you? How do I know what I feed you? How do I know what you eat? Abilities. Flees from predators. Oh, you need wheat? Oh my god. Oh my god, Phoenix, I'm so sorry. I think I killed you. I think I killed you because I didn't give you enough wheat. What do you mean, liked species? What does that mean? What is a liked species for you? What species do you like? Stones. Ugh. Everybody wants to have friends. Okay. Everything's expensive. The mushrooms are growing, though. This game is actually pretty complicated. Well, we got a lot of mushies. Where'd the other... I guess it only lets you know when animals that you've named pass away. Mip-Map, Dennis, and Finnegan's still alive. But they're not very healthy, partially because they're old. What do you guys eat? Grass? Likes trees, eats grass, fruit bushes. Man, you know what? I'm trying to get you guys some diversity of food here, you know? A short fun trip. I'm sorry, Phoenix. But now named Duffy. Maybe you are Duffy, but to be honest with you, I don't know where Duffy went. So maybe you aren't Duffy anymore. Okay, this game is actually, like, hard. It's actually harder than I thought. Hard game gonna be hard. That's fair. Enjoy your lurk, CC. At least there's wheat now, but I don't think that I have a chicken anymore, so I think I have to reborn the chicken. Let's reborn the chicken. Who should this chicken belong to? Should this be Braggs? Currently named Braggs. Phoenix the Second. You didn't even get to exist for like longer than a day. You didn't even make it a full day. I feel bad. To finally successfully name chickens. There for a good time, not a long time. Okay. We'll do Phoenix the second. There's many who would like it. Phoenix the second gets another go. This time with food. Easy peasy. Put an extra wheat there just in case, you never know. Sam and Ella. Wah, wah. Very punny. Oh man, I need to tell you guys about this. I go to see my therapist and I was wearing my shirt. You guys know the shirt that I have that says "Feeling Pantastic." You know that shirt? My therapist read it and he was like, "I don't understand." And I was like, "I identify as pansexual." And he was like, "LOL, that's very funny." And then later in the session, he was talking about like something that I've been working on and how I've like done a great job with it. And he was like, "You know, you had the thing, it was giving you anxiety, you dealt with it, you did it. You did a great job. I think it's just fantastic." And I like it was intense. It was intense. It was intense. Ruby. Yeah. It was a good time. Oh, there's a chicken. Chicken already had another chicken. Damn, Phoenix. You getting in there. When you get a good therapist, it's different. Glad to hear I'm seeing the right therapist. It's fair. That's fair. I would agree. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Wow, I am very glad that I don't know what that racist thing that you're thinking of is, Chase. Please don't tell me. All I know is easy peasy lemon squeezy. Hey, chicken farm reward. Wait, we have 3 chickens? We have 3 very satisfied. Damn, Jay Phoenix. You are multiplying. Sissy. Okay. Unlocks rock. Finally. I finally unlocked rock. How are you feeling about leveling up? Is this a large rock? It's a large rock. Good. It finds a way. I'm glad that I'm young enough to not know. We'll let the knowledge die with y'all. The knowledge of the horror. Oh, a chicken has been born with a mutation. What is this chicken about, Walter? Oh my god! Walter's black! Walter's black. Hell yeah, Walter. One of us. And Buffy. Buffy the Egg Slayer. There's so many eggs. Oh, there goes Walter. Look at him go. He's zooming. Following Phoenix the Phoenix, you've birthed so many chickens. Are we gonna have enough wheat for all of these chickens? Oh my god, there's another one. Well, I wish you the best. I'll put another rock in here so that we can eventually get enough rocks that we can upgrade. None of these are the proper size, though. I guess I'll try... No, that's wheat. Try... more seaweed. Try. Grow big. Life is short, you're enjoying your time. Yeah, no kidding. You seem to be enjoying your time a lot. Even more than the sheep over here. Why aren't you guys... What are you guys suffering from? Jingles? Environment is only 70%. What do you want for your environment? I don't think I've... Yeah, I mean, sleeps at night, flees from predator. I mean, I guess I can make sure that there's enough grass. Get another grass over here. Make sure it's not like too patchy. Oh, I'm out of money. Well, this game is delightful. I think this game is delightful. Don't you all? Don't y'all? Eventually, this will be a big, beautiful, gorgeous thing. I don't know that I have a preference between the two. I guess Bo Burnham. I appreciate Bo Burnham's use of theatrics in his work. I like that. Weird Al, I don't have anything against Weird Al. I don't think. I haven't seen much of his work. Weird Al's fine. It was just like the kind of thing that a lot of the boys in my school were into because they thought he was edgy. Heart Weird Al, yeah. Are there sloths in this game? It doesn't look like it. This would be a game that would be so easy for them to add DLC to. I wonder if there is DLC. Edgy? Weird Al is edgy? At the time, yeah. At the time, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you have to remember, this was small town Kansas. Yes, indeed. Because he was like doing and he would like curse and he would do parodies and he would like, you know, do gross stuff that parents didn't like their kids to see. You know what I mean? I need to buy more rocks. It was more the sign of the times. That's fair. I did grow up in the 90s. Oh, hell yeah. Thank you, please. I would like this other big rock. Can I evolve you now? Hell yeah! Start evolving kelp! Yeah. Back in the 90s, everything was a lot more... Everything was, I mean, I talked about this on that other stream, but in the 90s, everything was way more, in America at least, everything was way more, what's the word that I'm looking for? What's the word that means homogenous? Everything, the like mindsets of the people who were making TV were much more homogenous. And so overall, we had a lot more on TV that like the white middle class religious America wouldn't be upset about. And so like Weird Al was edgy because he would do shocking things and he would make jokes that your parents didn't want you to hear. I've evolved it. Oh no! Phoenix the Second is dead! It's okay. Phoenix the Second is dead, but you left me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 chickens to remember you by. So... gonna put more wheat down just in case. You lived another great life. Y'all gotta remember. Can't think of anything he's done with the curse word in it. Man, at least that's what I remember. But again, I wasn't super into I didn't like look into any of his stuff, so I'm not super sure. Man, it reminds me of like, I was listening to, there's like a doctor on YouTube, Dr. Mike. I'm sure he's on TikTok too. He's one of those people who's like famous who I didn't know about. But he was talking about nostalgia. I was watching a video of him talking about nostalgia, and he brought up a very excellent point, which is that you feel nostalgia for the past because you already know what happened in the future of the memory that you're thinking of. And so it's a lot easier for you to look back on certain times and have overwhelmingly positive emotions about it, because you're not faced with the kind of anxiety that you have today about like, oh, you know, like, am I gonna get a job? Is my coworker gonna like me? Is this date gonna pan out? You know, you're not facing the anxieties that you're currently facing in this day and age, and that's part of the appeal of nostalgia, is that you already know. You know, it's honestly, when he said that, it was such a good point, because for me, like, there's a lot of fond memories that I have, but if I think about like stuff that happened immediately after, you know, my childhood was like I've had a relatively difficult life, and so it's not like there's a part of my life that I can look back on and be like, there wasn't something shortly coming that was negative. But when I'm thinking about the nostalgia, I like that happy moment just exists completely separate from like what was going on at the time, what was gonna happen, what had just happened. It's a memory that's like almost only positive. Yeah, I thought it was a really good point. I had never thought about it that way. Word crimes. That sounds funny. I want to listen to that one then. Is it possible it might not have been Weird Al? Again, like, I can't tell you. Important context. The boys that I knew that were obsessed with Weird Al were obsessed with Weird Al in elementary and middle school, not high school. So that might make his content a little bit more edgy, considering it was like going out to like 10-year-olds. What do you mean, Ginger? I'm following you, but I'm not exactly sure how you mean that. I'm gonna add some more kelp in here so that these poor creatures thrive. Evolved a buttercup. Do I evolve a buttercup from a daisy? Do I even have any daisies alive? Did the mushrooms kill all the No, there's a daisy. There's my blue daisies. All right. Buttercup. Need to be yellow. Ooh, yellow's expensive. You can see how small town middle schoolers would think Weird Al is edgy. I remember when I was a kid in a nice little town and tormented my neighbors. No kidding. Oh, the beautiful purple tree died. This is a very fun game. Not to be intense, but like I'd definitely be... This is a great game to play while you're high. Just saying. Just putting that out there. Don't do drugs unless it's legal where you live. Because we didn't have financial stability and disposable income for recreation and travel, we turned to nostalgia and retro stuff. We made that impossible to access for Gen Z, e.g. Pokemon cards. I mean, the stuff that Gen Z is going to be nostalgic for is going to be different than the stuff that we're going to be nostalgic for. Like, Gen Z is going to be nostalgic for Minecraft. Gen Z is going to be nostalgic for TikTok. Like, there's things... Gen Z is going to be nostalgic for very different things than we were nostalgic for. I think... But, huh? What's smart? What? I don't remember what I said. Yeah, so I'm not sure if we made nostalgia inaccessible to Gen Z. I feel like if anything, the thing that is going to make nostalgia inaccessible is if, because nostalgia is kind of just like a natural thing that happens for humans, I think. What isn't, so there's, I guess let's distinguish, right? There's nostalgia, like the emotion that is natural and normal for humans to have. And then there's like nostalgic marketing, which is separate. There's like consumerist nostalgia, which is separate. So I think that Gen Z will still have nostalgia. Will people be able to capitalize on Gen Z's nostalgia as hard as they've capitalized on ours? I think that's an open question. Danny Phantom and the GameCube. Pokemon will be nostalgic for multiple generations. Will it? I guess I don't know, because I don't know how big Pokemon still is. Like, I know that it's decently big, but I don't think Pokemon has ever reached the level of just wildly popular that it was when we were kids. And I think that's part of the reason that so many of us are nostalgic for it, right? Like, Gen Z is gonna have, like, SpongeBob, which was just, like, huge, endlessly huge. It was everywhere you looked. There was TV, there were mascots, there were McDonald's toys, there were video games everywhere you looked. There were beach towels, like, SpongeBob was everywhere. For us, like, in the heyday of Pokemon, like, when the first Pokemon movie came out, Pokemon was everywhere. You could go to the trading card game leagues, you could get badges, you could play the games, you could watch the movie, you could watch the TV show. Like, it was everywhere. And then it died down a little bit as we got older. So I think that, like, whatever the biggest cultural movements of the time are going to be the things that people get nostalgic for. And then I think also, like, part of what makes things, like, especially TV shows nostalgic, part of what makes media nostalgic is that feeling of comfort and safety that we had with it. And so I think that there's things that are gonna not be nostalgic to us as we age. And I think that's a natural process of aging. Sometimes I think that, like, we as millennials have this tendency to take totally normal parts of, like, being human and living a long life and, like, pathologize them. So, like, we look at, like, for example, Harry Potter. A lot of people are not going to be able to go back to Harry Potter and think of it as a nostalgic positive thing. And everybody, like that is a huge loss, and it's, like, a travesty. I don't want to minimize, like, how awful all that is, but it's not abnormal for that to happen. Like, it's not abnormal for you to grow up, go back to revisit media that you liked as a kid, and you're like, oh god, this is awful, actually. Like, what did I even like about this, you know? Sometimes I think that, like, we as millennials, I think that, like, one of our biggest flaws as a generation is our habit to kind of immediately assume negative, like, to kind of catastrophize negatively about things that happen in our lives. But I don't know. I'm also, to be fair, I want to add, I'm a millennial, but I'm on the cusp. I'm like a millennial cusp Gen Z. Gen Z was only a couple years after me. So I'm like the youngest kinds of millennials that exist, and I find myself relating to a lot of Gen Z humor and Gen Z memes and stuff like that. More so than I do, like, really, really older, like the millennials who are, like, getting close to 40. They grew up with, like, an entirely different set of media than I did, and so, like, yeah, I'm on the cusp. You're also very nostalgic for SpongeBob. See, I thought so. My little sister is technically Gen Z. My little sister is technically, like, falls right around there, and, like, I'm thinking about the stuff that she would like. But you're eventually, like, Coop, you're eventually gonna be, like, old Gen Z. Putting that out there. Man, SpongeBob is, like, I was going back to rewatch SpongeBob. It's not bad. Secondhand nostalgia is a thing. That's fair, Ginger. That's fair. That's fair. I guess it's like, cause like, so what I'm thinking, Ginger, is that Pokemon was so big that it penetrated into the awareness even for not children. And for us, the things that I can think of that are so big that they penetrated the awareness are like things like Frozen, Baby Shark, do 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 do. Like, I'm thinking of the things that were so big that they penetrated into the consciousness even of like grown-ass adults. I think those are going to be the things that people are nostalgic for, because it's anything that's big enough that a large group of people can coalesce around it and be like, remember how everyone was excited about this? And it's like, was everyone? No. Everyone was excited. Everyone was watching. Everyone. I think that we tend to get nostalgic for things that mean a lot to us emotionally and things that helped us connect to other people and things that we can bond over. Nostalgia, I like nostalgia. Nostalgia's not a negative impulse, but I think that like the nostalgia marketing that's going on right now, like, man. There's so much to unpack about the millennial psyche with how we're being marketed to right now. It's wild. It's wild. I read an article that was like an architecture and design people commenting on the aesthetic that millennials have created. And the aesthetic that we have created is the nice, like, it's white, it's clean, it's minimal, there's wood, everything kind of looks store-bought, but it all seems to fall into place. You've got your live, laugh, love posters hanging up, you've got your candles, you know, you've got your, like, looks sophisticated, but you could have definitely bought it at Target. The millennial aesthetic. And I was reading an article by a bunch of architects and interior designers who were, like, talking about like the palette and the materials used, and they described it as a pacifier. They were like, there's nothing there that is uncomfortable or disconcerting. You walk into it and it's pastels, it's corals, it's like turmeric orange, it's these colors that are like calming. It almost feels like you walk into a hospital with a little bit more personality. There's so much to unpack about millennials. We're such an interesting generation, and man. Oh, there's lots of chattings happening. Hang on. When exactly is the earliest qualifying year for Gen Zdom? So I've seen anywhere from like 1995-ish to like 2000 being the starting period for Gen Z. You're the millennial getting closest to 40. How the internet plays into the time frames for nostalgic content. Yeah. Things can blur together. I agree, Chip. It's like just like getting out of school, time speeds up dramatically as soon as you're out of school because you're not filling your days in the same way that you were in school. You're not marking the passage of time. I agree. Hey, Rom! Thank you for resubscribing. Welcome back to the fold. I hope you have a good time at work. How much that has to do with trauma shielding? Well, so here, man, this is an interesting. It's plenty uncomfortable to those with a degree of agoraphobia. Valid. Man, I was gonna say, so I'm gonna throw this out there, and I want you guys to give me the benefit of the doubt because there's a lot of potential that while explaining this, I'm gonna say something that sounds really rude, and it's like it's a nuanced take that I'm introducing here. So search for that nuance, but. Millennial dissection stream, little bit. I mean, I've been again. So like, also, I'm interested in a lot of Listen, all I do with my time, especially when I'm sick and I can't get out of bed, all I do with my time is I read books, I read articles, I watch documentaries. Like, all I do is absorb information, and I've been going increasingly macro the longer I've lived, just because there's. Like, as I learn more about stuff, I understand more about how the pieces of the system fit together, and I understand how, like, those pieces together affect the global world, right? And with millennials, like, we had a bad time. Like, we're having a bad time. Like, 2008 financial crisis fucked us up, fucked the economy up permanently. And, like, in a way that I don't think that Gen Z is going to experience as much, specifically because the 2008 financial crisis, we didn't have enough financial recovery to pull us out of it. So we were in this space where tons of people got laid off, and then people who were way overqualified, like had master's degrees, had to work at McDonald's, right? And that fear of possibly losing your job never went away, because every year there were more and more college graduates coming out of college with these big degrees and with not enough jobs to allow those people to work. And so people started having to take jobs that were just to get by, and those jobs didn't have to increase in their pay or their benefits or anything. So, like, ordinarily, like, fast food jobs, retail jobs, like, those jobs are supposed, theoretically, like, in the 90s, those jobs were for teenagers to earn extra money. They weren't meant to be jobs that served a living wage, because they weren't meant for adults. They were meant for teens. But the 2008 financial crash happened and reset that. So we became a culture where all of us were constantly worried about losing our jobs. We didn't feel comfortable asking for raises, because you could get laid off at the drop of a hat, and it's not like they were, companies were like, oh, we don't want to give you money, times are so tight. That lasted straight up. Like, you would assume that would have gotten better as the economy recovered, but the economy recovered, and that did not actually get better. So until now, coronavirus hit, we all got laid off again, and finally, there's a corrective labor shortage, where these companies that have these awful, awful jobs are finally having to raise wages, give better benefits, offer things for people to go work for them, because people aren't eager to go work these jobs again in the way that we were in the past, because we just needed money to live, and the job market was up in the huzzah, and, like, nobody helped us. So the potential, there's a possibility here. There's no guarantees, but there's a possibility here that the labor market will correct itself enough that Gen Z is going to go into a job market that is a lot less horrible and constricting, and where workers have more say than than millennials have historically had. So, like, millennials grew up with, like, a lot of anxiety, but also, additionally, and this is going to be a blanket statement, so take this with a grain of salt. But additionally, I think that millennials were uniquely ill-equipped to handle the world, the reality of the world, specifically. Like, I think that, like, we were coddled in this way growing up, because we grew up during the 90s. We grew up believing, like, we grew up with a much less diverse view of the world, and because of that, like I was saying, the worldview was more homogenous, so we didn't have as much diversity. We didn't have as much diversity of, like, political thought. Everything was a lot more tightly controlled. That was when you first started getting helicopter parents. You started getting those overachieving parents who, like, would yell at the teachers so that their kids would get good grades, and would cheat for their kids so their kids would get good grades. You started getting the, like, participation trophy situation. You started getting this sphere where everybody kind of started feeling like we have to protect these kids from the outside from the harsh realities of the outside world, and if we do that, they'll grow up healthy. And we've learned since, psychology has learned since, that is actually really bad. Everything that we did to boost the self-esteem of kids was actually not helpful in boosting self-esteem, actually. It was something that, like, it set us up to think about the world in a weird way, because we were taught all these lessons about, like, participation and what success looked like and what failure meant. Like, when we failed, we were instantly, like, coddled and paid a lot of attention to. A lot of us were, anyways, paid a lot of attention to by our parents, and, like, it's not a realistic way for when you're an adult and you actually go out into the world and you find out, like, hey, your job doesn't actually give a fuck about you. They will work you into the ground if you let them, and you have to have the boundaries. You have to be comfortable enough with conflict in order to introduce that you are not going to work as much as your job is telling you to work, and you have to be comfortable with potentially getting laid off for being difficult to work with if you want to like find better jobs. So like we had all of these things kind of stacked against millennials heading out into the global workforce, where we were faced with these situations that had like unprecedented amount of anxieties attached to them, and we were uniquely ill-equipped to actually handle the difficult realities, the non-black and whiteness of the world. We weren't equipped to see nuance. We weren't equipped to have difficult conversations. People aren't equipped to address conflict. They're not equipped to know how to handle failure. They're not equipped to like not place that burden of being a perfectionist on themselves. We were built to achieve. That's what was going on when we were children, is like achieve, get into the good college, do all these things. And we weren't actually equipped to navigate the actual sphere. So what has happened now is that we've got this generation of people who like we're all at dramatically different places in our own abilities to cope with the material realities of a world that can be really cruel, and where we have to rely on ourselves first and foremost to make sure that we're protected in a way that's different from the world that we grew up in, where the schools would protect us, the teachers were supposed to protect us, your parents were supposed to protect us, your club leader was supposed to protect you. You know, we grew up far more coddled than kids in like the 80s and 70s did. And I think that just like disrupted our growth in a lot of ways. Well, yeah, of course we did, Cece, but I don't think that applies, because every generation goes through a mass trauma. Every generation that we can think of has gone through a mass trauma, so I don't think that makes us unique in any particular way. I mean, like, Gen Z is going through coronavirus on the level that they got kicked out of school for a year and a half. That's not quite the same as, like, 9/11 was very traumatic and, like, and problematic, but, like, how did your parents talk to you about 9/11? Did they? Or did they push it under the rug and tell you to get on with your life? And, like, nobody explained to you what that meant. Even 9/11 was, at least where I grew up and in the schools and, like, and everything, like, my teachers didn't talk to us about it. My parents talked to us about it a little bit, but, like, there was no real unpacking, you know? Decades of Islamophobia. Yeah. That's for real. Great full-length docs. Yeah, absolutely. Hang on, I was talking for a long time, so let me see what happened here. Well, but that's kind of my point, Bully Birdie. It's not that we're a traumatized generation. Every generation is traumatized, and I want that to like. That's the point that I kind of want to make here. That frustrates me, is that the world can be traumatizing. There can be things that are traumatizing that happen, but you need to be prepared to handle that and to integrate that into your life in some way. Like, trauma is not a thing that happens to you and disables you for the rest of your life by default. That's not how trauma works. And that's like the kind of popular consciousness of trauma. Like, at this point, things that aren't like medically traumatic, things that aren't like what psychologists define as traumatic, are being talked about as though they are equally traumatic experiences. And obviously that's very nebulous, and it depends on a case-by-case basis, because what some people find traumatic is not going to be the same thing as what other people find traumatic. But even then, regardless of what the traumatic thing is, trauma is not inherently paralyzing. It's not inherently long-term. It's not inherently something that has to affect you for all of your lives. And every generation has gone through horribly traumatic experiences, but it's about equipping children to be able to handle those experiences that they're having and to integrate them and to become adults who understand that, like, you're gonna run into situations in life that are objectively bad, where people are doing horrible things, where people are being, like, racist, sexist, whatever, where your workplace is horrific. And yes, those problems, like, those are all societal problems and we should solve them, but we also need to have the defenses ourselves to be able to to be able to protect ourselves. We need to have a way of thinking about it so that we can survive these things in a productive manner. And there is a way to do that in a productive way. I just think that we weren't equipped for it. So I think that we've grown into this generation of kind of more fragile people than like previous generations were because of like all of these like contributing factors. Like maybe if the 2008 financial crisis hadn't happened and we had all been able to go out into the world into a regular labor market, we would have been able to just like generally adapt and experience that process. But instead, we went directly into this space filled with companies who were prepared to take advantage of the fact that everybody was too scared to ask for better treatment. You know what I mean? Again, I'm trying to convey something that's like nuanced, and I'm not sure if I'm doing a particularly good job, because I'm not trying to say that like the horrible things millennials have experienced don't matter. But I think that like we as millennials have overblown them a little bit in justification. I don't know. I'm gonna keep reading what you guys are saying. Are we gonna be the ones to change things? Honestly, for me, institutional change comes more down to, can we change the institutions inherently resist change. They don't want to change themselves. So I think it's less of a question of like, can Gen Z and millennials do it? I think we absolutely can. I think it's a question of who are the people in control of the institutions, and can we convince them to change? And like, will they be replaced quickly enough? More so. It's true that there's lots of things exploding for us. Sorry, I'm reading your responses now. You'd argue 9/11 affected baby boomers more? Hey Jacob, thank you for resubscribing. Welcome back to the fold. Sorry, I'm really behind. Oh, Wholesome H, thank you so much for the raid. Hi. Oh dear, I'm so sorry that I'm late to this. Welcome in. Well, thank you. This is a hoodie. It's called an hoodie actually. Exclamation point hoodie if you want your own. Wholesome H, thank you so much for the raid. Hi, I was trying to explain a super like nuanced point about like our generation that I've been like thinking about recently, and I'm not sure how well of a job I did, but welcome in everybody. Am I hashtag sponsored? Technically, as in I got this, and all I need to tell you guys is that exclamation point hoodie. Yeah, I wanted this. They were like, do you want one? And I was like, yes. Yes, I do, and I like it. So yeah, I'm not trying to blame millennials by any means, but like I don't think that it's a coincidence that like, and obviously there's so much of like it would be ridiculous of me to be like, it's just because of how we were raised and that's the only problem. That's absolutely not. Like there's so many confluential factors about like the internet coming up at the same time, like all the crises that we experienced growing up and how they impacted our like long-term health and well-being, the inequalities which were created and exacerbated by the 2008 financial crisis, the kinds of like the way our cultural conversations have shifted away from nuance and towards black and white thinking. But I think that these things play a factor in it. I don't think they don't play a factor in it. So yeah, it's I guess I'm mostly mentioning it because I'm starting to think about like, how are we millennials going to raise our kids, you know? And I don't think that we were raised particularly well because like now I'm just speaking for myself, but for me at least, I've always kind of thought that it would be better to gently introduce children to the complexities of the world as they age and not to do what like the 90s kind of did to us, where the 90s were just like, hide everything bad from the children, do not let them see anything bad, which like forced us to grow up and become like 18-year-olds and learn suddenly not just that the world was bad, but how bad it really was in all these ways, you know? Well, yeah, Coop, the Gen Z is having like Gen Z. You've had so like it's so interesting. I see like Gen Z be like, millennials are bad. They didn't do anything. First of all, sit down, Gen Z. We haven't even aged into the positions where we could do those things yet because the 2008 financial crisis robbed a bunch of old people of their retirements and they never retired and we didn't get to age into those positions. So we're not controlling the world yet. Shut up about how we haven't been able to do enough, first of all. But like, second of all, like, millennials were the generation that like went through and started talking about these problems. I don't think that it's maybe super obvious to the younger Gen Zers that like baby boomers didn't want to talk. Baby boomers do not address conflict. Baby boomers do not have conversations about things. Baby boomers do not address inequalities. Whereas millennials, we're the ones out here. We're talking about racism, feminism. We're talking about money. We're openly talking about money in a large generational shift from our parents in ways that they're uncomfortable with. There's a lot of like shifts that have happened. It's just that millennials were also like severely disempowered. We didn't have financial purchasing power. We didn't have job power. We didn't have any powers. So like, hilariously, I think Gen Z and millennials are actually going to combine. Like, we have a lot of the same philosophical beliefs. You're welcome. You're welcome, by the way. Who do you think educated Gen Z? Because it wasn't Gen Z. We have a lot of the same opinions and beliefs, and I feel like Gen Z and millennials can combine their powers, which is part of why I think that, like, millennials and Gen Z going after each other in this, like, absolutely ridiculous, like, thing that the media is trying to play up about how Gen Zers are, like, what is the term that everybody's trying to say? It's like cringe, but different, whatever. How are millennials gonna raise their kids? Cartoons of the time were of the opposite mindset. Yeah, being sheltered yeah, I agree. Extreme helicoptering or the exact opposite? Yeah, I have absolutely no idea. But I hope that we don't just do exactly what our parents did. Because, like, the fact that we're, like, we shouldn't be having epidemic rates of anxiety and depression. We shouldn't be. And I think that there's more to the epidemic rates of anxiety and depression than just the world is bad. Because, again, like, we had nuclear war nearly happened multiple times. And, like, anxiety and depression didn't skyrocket then. So I don't feel like it's just that we're living in a stressful time and that's why anxiety and depression are skyrocketing. I also don't think it's just the internet that is causing that, although I think the internet is a huge contributing factor. I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to say anything conclusively. All the Gen Zs you know are lovely. All the Gen Zs I've met are very lovely as well. It's only like in online media that I see this Gen Z millennial fight happening. I'm not like seeing it anywhere else. The building of online spaces. We definitely, like, we did define the internet a lot. But boomers are the ones who controlled the rules of the internet, so we couldn't protect ourselves too much. You would say that only applies to younger millennials? That's fair. We should join an alliance, I agree. There has always been a deliberate effort to turn us against each other. To turn like groups of people against each other. That's just like always been. I mean, look at even a simple silly one. Microsoft versus Apple, Windows versus Mac. Ridiculous. An absolutely ludicrous thing to fight about. Absolutely ridiculous. Xbox versus PlayStation, or like PlayStation versus PC. Ludicrous. Pointless. The only thing that it does is help those companies gain brand loyalty. Absolutely ludicrous. Star Wars versus Star Trek. Android versus iPhone. Yeah, Dems versus Republicans. Yep. Hey, Zephyrus. We're playing Equilinox, which is a lovely ecosystem, but then we stopped playing and I just started talking. We're in the generation where you can't hide from those conversations because they're instantly available on the internet. But also, we're having this conversation now in a way that like boomers, because like boomers were the kids of their parents, and like my grandma's generation was the generation of people who didn't even tell their close family members, like they didn't tell their children that they loved them. That was the old version. And so boomers were the children of them. And like they thought it was progressive to tell their families that they love them and to like be profuse about how they think well of people. And like that was a legit social change at the time, in their credit. And like you see how the generations like go over time. Women versus women. Oh, hell. Hell. Especially here. Sheep versus chicken. Related to the us versus them, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, like, man, I'm thinking about it so much because, like, again, just, like, especially now, like, I haven't been on Twitter in, like, I go on Twitter to tweet about the stream, I go on Twitter to tweet about PR things, and then I do not go on Twitter at all unless I need to, like, answer a DM. I'm completely off of Twitter now, and, like, as I've been detoxing, I've just been thinking about the ways that Twitter especially encourages people to think in that black and white thinking. This is all good. This is all bad. This person is all good. This person is all bad. This action someone did is all good. It's all bad. Like, there's absolutely no nuance. There's no, like, everybody, like, people read people's apologies and try to divine through the gods whether or not that apology was sincere or enough or whatever. Like, who are we really impacting with that? Because I don't think we're doing what we want to be doing by having this black and white conversation on Twitter. I don't think that we're progressing in the ways that we want to be progressing by giving in to this impulse of ours that is it's just a very dangerous human impulse. It's like literally the thing that destroys democracies. Like, it's always been a concern. Meh. You think the most conflict is in? I think it's absolutely inflated, Ginger. I fully agree. You're right, Cliff. Let's just stop telling kids positive affirmations. That's definitely the right way to raise our children. Oh, Wholesome Age, no, I'm so sorry. They didn't know, I hope. Millennials are like, why are we so interested in what Gen Z thinks of us? We're older than Gen Z. By definition, we don't have to give a fuck what Gen Z thinks about us. I don't know why. God damn it. Just don't give a shit. They're younger than you. They literally know less about the world. You don't need to be impacted by their opinions. It's fine. Take them seriously, but maybe don't take them seriously when they're talking about how you're uncool. Excellent for you, Twitter is painful. Yeah. I absolutely see that, Jacob. I think about that too. Cause like this is just not the way. It's just not the way. We can't be like if Twitter is something that people are seeing multiple times a day and they're getting this kind of black and white because it's not just Twitter, it's also like our news media encourages black and white thinking. It's all social media encourages black and white thinking because that's how you get money. You get money by making us versus them. Like there are inherent reasons that people want to make an us versus them, and it's always about profit. And so if you're growing up in this atmosphere where that's what you're seeing all the time and like this is your understanding of conflict, what's it going to take to get us back to the point where conflict is not about I'm right and you're wrong, but conflict can be about I have my opinion, you have your opinion, we disagree, but I still want to know why you believe what you believe, not because you're trying to convince me, and like not because I'm gonna come over to your side or anything, but because it's valuable to understand why people who believe different things than you believe the things they do. Because for some reason we have like especially on Twitter there's that thought that people who believe different things are believing different things because they're evil, they're bad, like they're racist, they're who knows, we jump to that conclusion. And there are nuanced situations where like again I like to use Washington state as a really good example because like essentially here in Washington the politics for Seattle drives the politics for the whole state. And in the eastern half of the state beyond the Cascade Mountains, it's completely rural. It's like almost all farmers. It's all people who have a very different non-urban lifestyle, and they're constantly getting completely bowled over by the people who live in Seattle, and they're having all of these changes put into place that benefit people in the city of Seattle but not the state of Washington. And the people, like, yes, there are legit white supremacists, and like yes, there are absolutely bad faith actors out there, but there's also people who are Republicans and have like legit reasons for wanting the economic policies that they want. And if you don't listen to why they want the things that you want, you're not going to be able to discern who are the people that are like bad faith actors that I'm absolutely not going to listen to, and who are the people who have different concerns because their lifestyle is completely different and their concerns are still valid. And we need to make sure that we design our state laws to incorporate these people, or else we're going to make life a lot worse for them because our state is split in half by a mountain range. You know what I mean? I agree, Wholesome Age. Oh, hell yeah, Coop! Congrats! Twitter can be used for a lot of good. Social media can be used for a lot of good. I mean, like, if we would just police it a little bit. Respect your elders, Zoomers. Yeah. Yeah, I wish that we would have a whole like class about conflict resolution, because people are very ill-equipped for conflict resolution, and like we need to find a way to cohabitate. We don't have to agree. Like for some reason I think like I don't know where this came. Maybe it's because of the whole like bipartisan compromise thought. But like we can coexist without agreeing or compromising necessarily. We can still coexist and like respect each other as humans and not do what is happening now. Very important. Very important. It's the good faith people. Like, I want to make the distinguishment between good faith people and bad faith people because it's a really important distinguishment to make. Just to have a peaceful conversation. I mean, I always learn a lot from conversations with people who have differing views. Like, and it's so important to know where, like, the weaknesses in the things that you believe are. Because if you don't know where if you never listen to people who have differing perspectives, and especially if you're only, because, like, right now we have all these, like, Republicans who are, they're Trumpian Republicans, they're not Republican Republicans, and we have all of these ones who are out here screaming that, like, taking statistics out of context and, like, they're, like, arguing things that are just complete BS and, like, lies. They're lying to people, and that's ridiculous. But it's important to know what the actual arguments against, like, democratic policies are. For example, I read an opinion piece that was by one of those, like, old school Republicans, kind of like on the libertarian spectrum, I think. And he pointed out, and rightfully so, that, like, in Biden's infrastructure plan, there were things that he included in that infrastructure plan that had actually already been paid for. He included them because it would look good politically to, like, show that he was meeting his campaign promises, but, like, actually we had already put money away, like, the exact sum of money that he pitched away to solve that problem. And not only that, but Democratic lawmakers have this problem with, like, with our policies. When we give a bunch of money to things, we don't actually tell them specifically how they're supposed to spend that money, and that leaves a lot of room for abuse. It leads, like, a lot of the funneling of the money to go just to certain districts and not to others, which exacerbates the inequality, especially for, like, redlined places or, like, communities of color. Like, usually they're not the ones who have lawmakers representing them, so they're not the ones who get the money. And because we don't include specific ways that we want this money to be spent, people take that money and use it for other things that technically qualify. And, like, that's not good. That's not what we want. That's a legitimate concern of democratic policies right there. Like, we want this money so that it actually goes into the things that America needs to fix, not just so that it looks good that we paid it and we solved it. Like, we actually want the problem solved. Actually. So, if we don't pay attention to what those criticisms are, we're not going to be able to hold our democratic lawmakers accountable to what we actually want to see and the changes we actually want made. Like, I want to see more money going to communities that are behind, that aren't as economically equitable. And you need to know where your policies are weak to do that. Yeah. That's some good stuff right there, cat pictures. All right, going back to read. The idea of that has gotten blurry and blurrier over the last 50 to 60 years. Yeah, I agree. I remember, like, a couple years ago, I said, like, not all Republicans are bad, and somebody clapped back at me like, well, if they want me to die, then they are all bad. And I was like, okay, but, like, not all Republicans. Not all Republicans disbelieve gay rights. Not all Republicans don't think racism is real. Not all Republicans don't believe in climate change, you know? Especially, like, younger Republican kids whose parents believe in science. They still exist. And if we don't acknowledge that those people exist, then I think it only gets easier for the Trumpian Republicans who are out there to just pretend that they're all of them. Like, it gets easier for them to keep doing what they're doing if we pretend that all Republicans are exactly like them. Like, I think we need to make the distinguishment, or else they're going to feel like, you know, like, it feels like you have enemies everywhere, and that gives them strength. It gives them power to rally. Like they seem larger than they are. They're a smaller minority than currently, like, the media's suggesting. And like I don't think that that's good. I think that that's actually dangerous. Anyways, sorry, I went off into a totally different space talking about that, but it's just something that I've been concerned about and thinking about a lot. What are you meaning, Ginger? You're saying the problem is the sideline spectator being a part of the bullying? Well, you have a very solid point about that too. We also need in-house accountability instead of shifting blame. What do you mean by that? I'm not 100% following what those terms mean. Maybe this is because I'm American and I'm like, what is that? In-house accountability. What's that? We don't have it. Yeah, I fully agree with that, Jacob. If you don't do the things you say you're gonna do. Sorry, I disagree with you. Oh wow, okay, sorry, I'm gonna absolutely disagree with you on that latter part about Germans. I'm German and I can explain what actually, you might be German too, I don't know. But I would like to clarify that point because like when Hitler came into power, he criminalized speaking out against the government. So there were actually a lot of German citizens protesting what was going on. Those people got sent to jail and they got sent to concentration camps. So German citizens stopped protesting. For some reason in America, we like to pretend like it was complacency that allowed, and there's a lot to unpack about what happened with Hitler's rise in Germany, but that is an absolute oversimplification to just say that it's because people didn't care what was happening to the Jewish people. That is absolutely not true. There was a large amount of German people who did not like what was happening and who even tried to stop it. And Night of the Long Knives, Hitler literally like killed hundreds of like political leaders who were against him and like activists and mobilizers. He killed it on the night that he took power. So like there was a lot there about why people weren't able to organize and mobilize against him, but he definitely criminalized it and made it something that people could be punished for. So if anything, I would encourage you to like look into the kind of historical nuance about the rise of Hitler, because I think it's very important and applicable to what's going on right now, and oversimplifications are very harmful, especially when directly comparing to what's going on right now. But yeah, also about like the fact that they are still Republicans means that they don't have a problem with them. I disagree, because there's a lot of Republicans out there who, first of all, there's a lot of Republicans who have left. Second of all, there's a lot of Republicans who are staying explicitly because they're worried that if they leave, that means giving the Republican Party over to these Trumpian kinds of people. So there's Republicans who are staying in because they're hoping that if they do, they can move the party back over to like sanity and pull it away from these Trumpian people. So again, I think it's an oversimplification. While there certainly are some Republicans who are staying because they're fine with Trump's policies and like they don't care, there's a lot of people who are staying because they're trying to get something done. And it's an oversimplification to assume otherwise. It's like the argument where religion doesn't believe in science, and yet a lot of churches talk about climate change and evolution. Yeah. Like, obviously there are not great churches, but there's also a lot of churches run by people who are changing things. There's churches run by LGBTQ individuals who are trying to make, like, Christianity a safe space. And, like, that's all about, like, cultural change. And so, yeah. I'm not religious. I'm not super familiar with that like sphere. I just know that there's movements within the LGBT community to reclaim religion as a space that is safe and as a space that isn't about hate. And I think those movements are important. I can't say have no real opinion about how whether they're successful or not because I'm not religious, so I don't know. It's not my place to talk about to have an opinion on that if I'm not religious, I think. Groups don't think like a hive mind, but the internet encourages us to operate like a hive mind, which is, I think, interesting. The spectator not stopping the bully is part of the problem. Got it. Those Republicans not addressing the racism problem? Absolutely. Like, that, yes, absolutely. I fully agree there. Listen, I'm not trying to say that the Republican Party doesn't have a lot of problems. I'm a Democrat for a reason. I'm a Democrat for a reason. But I'm talking about, like, the broader terms of, like, what is unhealthy about our current political discourse. So, yeah. Yeah, so, but I fully agree, like, there's a reason I'm a Democrat. I mean, my grandma's family in Germany hid Jewish people from the Nazis, so. I'm not surprised that a lot of the Republicans in Washington are anti-Trump and racism and homophobia. Like Washington in general is a pretty liberal state, even amongst our Republican population. Like, like our Republicans have standards. I don't want to say that, but like I'll joke about it. Oh no, absolutely. Sorry. I absolutely do not. Um, I don't think that about you at all. Sorry. The perspective that you had about Germany is like a common one in America. Is the thing like, I I disagree with it intensely. Obviously, because I'm German and I'm like I'm not gonna see my people get treated like that. But like, that's what we were taught. What you were saying was exactly what we were taught. Again, America just wants to over like it was part of like America being like we're better than Germany. Nothing like here's why like racism isn't a problem for America and it's because we're better than those Germans were who all gave up and just let it happen. Like, you know, it was just a way for us to like pacify ourselves. So that's why like that thought process is so prevalent and it's just like does a disservice. Yeah, so I'm don't worry. I'm not applying anything that you said to like any interpretations of your character at all. That's not what we do here in this space. Yeah. Wow, that's awesome, Coop. Hey, Max. Back. Wait, it's okay. I thought that was a reference to a song, but honestly, I don't know which songs. But thank you for resubscribing, Max. Welcome back to the fold. It's good for the it's good for the war business. It's good for us. Yeah. Yeah, if you don't know that German conservative politicians were killed, how would you know? Well, like, and especially like God, the concept of Hitler has become such a thing on the internet, especially like all of the nuance related to Hitler is taken out. Oh my God. And just to clarify, I'm not trying to say, I'm not one of those like, oh my God, Hitler had some good ideas. Like, God, no. What I'm saying is that like Hitler's rise, like the whole process, like Germany from like 1918 to 1945 is like so complex and so worth studying in nuance. Like, please study it in nuance. Like, because it's gonna help you understand what's going on in America right now really well. But like you need that nuance, and you need to find like good German sources who talk about like all of the steps, because like Hitler didn't come to power in a vacuum, in the same way that Trump didn't come to power in a vacuum. Trump came to power because people had grievances and they thought Trump would fix it. And that's exactly what happened with Hitler. People were dying of starvation and nobody was helping them. And Hitler said, I'm gonna come and I'm gonna like fuck some shit up and I'm gonna get you guys food. And there were enough people who cared more about that than about his other policies, who just wanted someone to help them. And like that's how that's how he was voted into a position of power. But I want to like make it clear that Germans did not elect Hitler as chancellor. Hitler took over. Hitler took over in the Night of the Long Knives. So like it wasn't like Germany like came together and like the majority of Germany were like, yeah, Hitler's great. It was more like his party was getting votes, and then like the politicians in power were like, what do we do with this Hitler guy? He's like really popular and people are really mad. Like, what should we do? And then the politicians were like, I know what we should do. Let's give him this like honorary position of chancellor or whatever. And like, we'll make him think that he has power, but we'll be the ones still in charge. And then Hitler just killed them all. And he was like, now I'm the only one left. And it's like, which is more of a cautionary tale for all of the Republican politicians who think they can use Trump. It's like, maybe don't try that. It's fine. It's fine. Yes, exactly. Sorry. Many are willing to look the other way, especially Republican politicians. Many are willing to currently look the other way if it gets them the power that they want or the votes that they want. And that's not good. Yeah, I mean, of course people didn't think Hitler was a threat. He tried to overthrow the governments once, wound up in jail, and wrote like a sad sob story of a book. Like he was ludicrous. He was ridiculous. Like people found him a joke. That's why those politicians thought they could control him. They thought he was stupid. They underestimated him. You know? Yeah, sorry. I'd agree with you on that, on the politicians working with the Nazis. Yeah, I absolutely agree with you there. They were like, let's leverage this like passionate section of the population. But like ultimately World War II was caused by the Treaty of Versailles. It's like like historians do not argue about what prompted Hitler's rise to power, and it was the Treaty of Versailles. So we created Hitler, which is exactly why I'm saying that like American politicians' inability to get anything done, and just like watching our infrastructure fall, they didn't do anything about the economy. Like they just like got into gridlock and didn't pass any laws. So there were all these problems that have just been getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And when people get fed up enough, they start voting for just wild things that they shouldn't vote for. So we created our own situation. And he did try to overthrow the government before. He absolutely did. He tried and was jailed and convicted for it, in fact. Yeah, I agree. Sorry. First you hear how that's pronounced in English? Hey? Yeah, and like part of the reason that the anti-Semitism was such a thing, like, so this is a thing that a lot of people don't know actually. So in World War I, again, World War I, Germany lost World War I, the Treaty of Versailles happened. what happened with the Treaty of Versailles, Germany had to give up a ton of territory. Germany was no longer allowed to have any kind of army. And Germany had to pay every single country who participated in the war, they had to pay reparations to all of the countries. So that's a lot of money. And the German economy, Germany was also devastated by World War I. Germany was, needed to repair itself. Everybody lost a generation of working men in the war. Just a bunch of people died. So there wasn't a lot of people to overcome that. And the result was widespread inflation and eventual starvation of the population because Germany got so poor and then the Great Depression hit. Germany was already struggling with wild inflation to the point that you needed a wagon filled with money in order to buy a piece of bread at the store when the Great Depression hit. And essentially what was keeping Germany and all the other countries afloat at the time that the Great Depression hit was that there was this ball of money that was kind of being thrown around from country to country in the form of loans. So the United States would give money to Italy, and Italy would take that money and give that money to France, and France would take that money and give that money to Britain, and Britain would take that money. And it was just this ball of money that was ping-ponging around, and Britain would use the money to pay back the US. So this one wad of cash was going across Europe and the US and was essentially responsible for keeping all of their economies afloat. Well, when the Great Depression happens, America doesn't have the money to pay out that loan anymore. That's why the global economy just crashes. So you've got hyperinflation and you've got the global depression happening. German people start dying. And that was all caused by the unfair terms of the Treaty of Versailles. Germany would not have gotten so upset and fed up without the Treaty of Versailles. But an important thing that people don't know about World War I is that in Germany at the time, there was a conspiracy theory going on because there were people protesting against the war, people who didn't want to be involved in the war anymore, as they're usually people protest during war. It's a very normal thing. There was a conspiracy theory among certain German people, like Hitler, that the people who were protesting anti-war were all Jewish people, and they blamed these protests for why, Germans' morale fell during the war, and they blamed that for the reason that they lost World War I. So, that is the root of where, the anti-Semitism started, was in a wild conspiracy theory rooted in anti-Semitism that started during World War I, and that's, it's all... History is wild, y'all. Yeah, everybody was saying that Germany was 100% responsible for starting the war. Girl, nah. Nah, Germany was scapegoated. It's almost like Western intervention is bad. Yeah. It's kind of hilarious because at the time they had assumed. At the time, and I guess how would we have known? We had never had something as egregious as the Treaty of Versailles before. At the time, they had assumed that if they simply neutered Germany as a country and prevented it from growing at all, that there would be no war because everybody blamed Germany for the war, and I guess it was just a popular scapegoat. Everybody shook hands and agreed to blame Germany, so there we go. And so hilariously, the Treaty of Versailles was supposed to prevent another war from happening by decimating Germany so strongly. Well, that's not actually how the world works. As it turns out, prisoners are likelier to be more pleasant and to stay in jail if their, prison is, respectful of human rights. And also, if a country can survive on its own, it doesn't necessarily need to go to war. It's wild. The stab in the back myth? Yeah. Yeah, and it is a myth, to be clear. It was a conspiracy theory that was false. It was just German people in general were unenthusiastic about the war. Again, because an entire generation of men died. You didn't really need... any more reason than that to be against World War I. Yeah. So, that was your history lesson for the day. I guess thank you for bringing that up. Sorry, because it was fun to kind of dive into some of the details of that. There's a lot of details that you can go into about Hitler's rise in World War II, but most importantly, like, it's very nuanced. There's a lot of things going on then that can help you understand what's going on now, that can put it into kind of a historical context and help you learn. So I would encourage anybody to do that. Just make sure that you're using reputable sources. Please. Yeah. Professor. Just a little extra history. La, 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 la. I love how, yeah, Cliff. I mean. History doesn't repeat, but it often rhymes, and it's so important. It's just so important to know. It's just, cause like, God, we wouldn't be so mad at each other. We wouldn't be so mad at each other if we actually had been taught good history, I think. I think that we would be a lot more able to tolerate these kinds of difficult events that happen if we had more of an understanding of history and how those events have happened in the past and how people responded to them. Like, like the 1918 flu epidemic was not different from how we handled the coronavirus. Like, I know we all want to think that the coronavirus was a horrible, like, why are people acting like this? Humans stink, but like, that's just how we respond. That's just how we respond to plagues, it seems. Some of us are like, yay, science, and some of us are like, gah! That's just how it is for humanity. You gotta accept us as we are. It makes things a lot less scary. If you know, if you're facing a lot of stress because of the things that are going on right now, just check out history. Check out some of the amazing things that humanity has survived in the same way. It was handled almost identically. It's pretty hilarious. Oh, I love history. History makes me very happy, but I guess it depends on... the history that I learn has a more intense focus on the average everyday person than on, like, what we learn here in America, which is big man history. Like, the thought that, like, singular influential people are the core drivers of historic change. And I don't know, I find a really important and helpful sense of community, and like, I feel very in tune with humanity when I learn about history. I'm like, we're all just in this together trying to survive. All of us plebes, all of us plebeians, we're just out here trying to survive. Oh, got it. I mean, that's absolutely fair, Wholesome Age. That's absolutely fair. I think when you focus on individual people and, like, how people lived through different times, you gain this, like, immense respect for how strong we are as a species, how much we make it through, and how, like, determined we are to still live good lives, to still enjoy ourselves, to protect the people that we care about, to make differences where we can. I believe in, like, the positive side of humanity, and even when you look back in the past and you see things that are horrible, people survived those things. People thrived through those things. People did whatever they had to do so that they could be their true selves, so that they could, you know, like, circumstances definitely suck. But, like, even, like, LGBT rights weren't always as horrible as they've been for the past 500 years. There's so many different civilizations where, like, LGBT people were accepted and normal and like not considered any different. And yeah. Anyways. Goodbye, Ginger. Yeah, that we'll never have a better society, but we've come such a long way. There's so much less death in the world. It doesn't look like it, but there's so much more peace in the world now. There's been a longer peace period. There hasn't been war between the largest nations in the world since World War II. There's been proxy wars, absolutely, but there hasn't been full-blown war since World War II. And that's like literally never happened in our history before. Actually, so that's a pretty big accomplishment. It all depends on where you're looking, and just keep in mind that there's a lot of people who have a stake in making sure that you feel disempowered. There's a lot of people who have a stake in that, and there's a lot of people who have a stake in, like, telling you incomplete versions of histories, like the history we get about black people in school, where you're like, slavery happened, civil rights happened, now we're here. But we don't talk about, like, what were the, like, how did the slaves live? How did they survive and thrive through that time? How did, like, we don't talk about like ragtime and how that was invented. We don't talk about this rich history of music that, like, we don't talk about so many things that aren't just the suffering of marginalized peoples, because there's so much beyond the suffering that we don't get to see and pay attention to. Yeah, this is, man, such a big topic, but I love history, if you guys couldn't tell. Hell yeah, sorry. I mean, it's natural for human beings to focus on the negative. We all have a negative bias in our brains. That's just how we literally are all programmed. So don't be too hard on yourself for feeling discouraged and focusing on the negative things. It definitely takes a lot more work to find and pay attention to the things that are positive. So don't be too hard on yourself. It's literally something that we all do. Hey, I'll take it, sorry, because we came close to nuclear war like 3 times, and we still are here, so. Oh my god, wait, no, why? You did, what? You should talk about colonialism in Kenya. It's fine, I know why they didn't talk about it, but. Okay, so this was supposed to only be a 2-hour stream, and I have already gone over by a lot. I need to go and rest. So I'm sorry for cutting off the conversation here, but we will wind down the stream, and we are going to make an abrupt shift to our good things for the day. So, here, let me see. Do I need to save this? Save. Quit. So, would you guys like to share one good thing that happened to you today, or one good thing that you're looking forward to tomorrow? No! IRL. Oh! Okay, now all the notifications are gonna come rolling in. I'm sorry. But I need to go just to protect myself and take care of my own health, alas. Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah, Jacob. Coop, you should. Because we need... God. Oh, man. Okay, real quick story. As you guys tell me your good things. Real quick story. When I was in college, I went to a talk that was run by... I believe it was John Lewis. Or oh God, I hope I'm getting his name right. But it was run by a black man who had protested with Martin Luther King Jr. And like he wanted to he was old and he was going to colleges, making speeches, making sure that he would pass on his wisdom to the next generation of people fighting for civil rights. And what he told me, I have never forgotten. I wrote it down and I never forgot. He told us that we need to remember to keep hold of the dreams that we have when we are young, and to never stop dreaming, because if you stop dreaming, you stop envisioning a better society. And if you stop envisioning a better society, there's no way that we're going to be able to get there. So you need to be brave and be strong and be confident and keep up hope that change can happen, and keep up a vision of what society can look like, because people are going to try to beat that vision out of you, and that vision is what gets you there. And it was very inspirational. I will pass on his message to you all now that he's no longer here to do the same. Voting rights bill guy. I think so, but I'm not 100% sure. Oh, the music is loud? Oh god, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, the music, I know why it is. Okay, hopefully that's better. I'm sorry about that. I apologize. I hope you still heard what I said. You got someone to do some repairs that you needed, and you're heading back home tomorrow. I hope you have a good time at home. People get to watch Loki! Oh, I hope it ends up great. Amphigory. You got art done during your stream. Congratulations, well done. My good thing is that I got all my work done today too, so I feel that. You finished WandaVision and it was better than you thought it would be. I've heard some good things about WandaVision. Tomorrow being less humid and hot, I feel that. Ooh, I'd love to have some of your risotto, but I can't. The last week of school, nap time coming. Sleep for a whole month, Cece. Oh, you couldn't hear me over it? Should I say it again? This is an hoodie, and you can get one there from that company. You got sent what mini project you're required to develop? So you get hired in the new job. Oh, Rhodey, you're doing so well. Look at you go. Hell yeah. Gun for that. Get that dosh. That's what I will always say to you. I hope you enjoy spending time with your family, Mysterio. And some good floral patterns. Hey man, we take 20% off coupons here. We absolutely take 20% off coupons here. Good. Good, Coop. Please refuse. Refuse to lose your imagination. You did come in at the end, Connor. Continuing to do really well with digital painting. You've been honestly crushing it, Coop. You've been going for it, and congratulations on how hard you go for it. I love to see it. I love to see young creatives just going. I don't know, young creatives, as though you're a person who I have never spoken to before. Ah, you know, young creatives out there. All right. Let me see who we're gonna. Oh, that'll be great. Okay. I love that you love to see it. Oh, Pride Fabric. Hell yeah. All right. Oh, congrats on getting your video out, Connor. Oh, Mysterio, I'm so glad that your family has healed from it, but I'm sorry that your grandma is having a liver problem. I hope that they will be able to treat it and that she will be able to have a relatively easy time handling that. Certainly. Okay, I am a young creative. You're right, I am still young. Okay, I absolutely gotta leave before I explode. So we are going to be rating NBZ, who was in here earlier, and who is playing a Nancy Drew game. I do call you child, and it's because sometimes it suits. So, as you all know, Z's pronouns are they, them, and they're currently playing through Nancy Drew's Sea of Darkness, which I haven't played yet, so I'll bounce out. But everybody go, NBZ is a relatively new streamer, new to the space. We love to support our own, and we love to support LGBT individuals, so let's go over there and, give them a really big viewer raid. Maybe potentially, the largest amount of viewers they've had. I don't know. I don't know. So let's go for it. Hell yeah, Dawn. All right, I gotta go. Thank you guys so much. Don't forget about the house party on Saturday. I'll remind you guys tomorrow. Okay, I gotta go. I gotta go. Goodbye. Thank you. Goodbye. Let's raid and get your chair dances ready. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get in there.